And when we're good, Rose. Okay. Good evening, everybody. It is Thursday, December 18th. It is 6:35 p.m. Apologies for the delays, but we will now get started with the Citywide Council on Special Education's calendar meeting for December. First, interpretation. Could you please introduce yourselves and your service, and then put the information in the chat box for people who need your service? Thank you.
Sí, muy buenos días, noches. Para las personas que requieran los servicios de español, estamos proporcionando interpretación español. Pueden marcar al 347-966-4114. Luego marcar la contraseña 695-312-562, signo numeral. La información para acceder a estos servicios la pueden encontrar en el chat. Muchas gracias. Interpretation announcement has been completed.
Thank you. And Mandarin, please.
晚上好，如果有哪位需要普通话翻译服务，请拨打电话号码347-966-4114，输入会议 ID 号码584-184-729，井号键。再重复一遍，如果需要普通话翻译服务，请拨打电话号码347-966-4114，输入会议 ID 号码584-184-729，井号键。Thank you. Mandarin interpreter has finished the announcement.
Thank you so much, interpretation. Rose, on to roll call, please. On me.
Hello? Oh, that would be me today. So roll call, me, Francesca, here. Dr. Sanya.
Sanaya's
Sana-
online.
I'm here.
Also, Joanne.
Not here.
Not present. Heather, excused. Mark.
Here.
Dr. Melissa.
She is
Oh, excused.
excused.
Ying Enks. I'm sorry if I butchered that. Maggie.
Here.
Suzanne. Suzanne Wong Benjamin. Jinga Zheng Zungha.
Here.
Okay. Kim? No. And our student, Jonah?
Here.
He's here, right?
Yep. All right.
Okay, great.
And we are at quorum. Excellent. Thank you, everybody. So, got some good news. We have added a member. So, we have a student member who is present tonight. Jonah, would you like to introduce yourself and welcome to CCSE as our student member for this year?
Hi, everybody. I'm Jonah. I am a senior at Townsend Harris. I've had my IP for a good while now. I've had it since 5th grade. And I'm really happy to be here.
To have you here, Jonah. Thank you. Really appreciate you spending the time and advocating for all of our students. Thank you. Okay. So we are honored to have the Office of Pupil Transportation here tonight. We have a few members of their staff, but it's a huge staff that oversees the largest bus fleet in the U.S., much bigger than the MTA, serving, what was it, 145, give or take, thousand kids?
150,000.
My apologies, Glenn. Thank you. 150,000 plus kids, 9,000 routes. It's an insane undertaking, and yet we've got people working at 4 a.m. We got people working at midnight, taking care of all of our students and trying to get them to school best they can and home best they can. And honored to have them and appreciate them coming tonight. So thank you, everybody. It's on to you.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Suzanne Sanchez, Chief of Special Education, and very happy to be here with all of you tonight, in person and those of you on Zoom. As Mark said, we are thrilled to have Deputy Chancellor Kevin Moran and his team, Glenn and Melissa here, and Lanika will be joining us shortly to talk you through what they think and what we believe to be are some positive steps and enhancements in transportation via busing for students in New York City public schools. Certainly recognize that it's been a challenging fall around this and really strong feelings and beliefs around the contract. And just cannot thank all of you for your advocacy support for students who use busing and transportation to get to and from school. Very quick, two quick announcements from me. First, want to highlight that January 14th at 7 p.m., we will have a Beyond Access series for families. This is a parent's guide to early intervention and preschool services. We will be sharing the link in the chat and hope that as many of you as possible will join on that date. Also want to share that our related services weekend academy is up and running for students who are not receiving their related services in public or charter school. And if you believe your child should be receiving services at the weekend sites, please email specialeducation@schools.nyc.gov. And we will also be offering assistive technology training to students in non-public and public school, Maggie, whose IEP recommends assistive technology, and that will be starting in the middle of January. I don't want to take any more time. I want to turn this over to Deputy Chancellor Moran and his team, who we very much appreciate being here with us tonight.
All right, so I'm going to talk a while, so forgive my awkward. All right. Awesome, thank you. All right, so I'd like to thank everyone first and foremost for your advocacy in this space, within your school communities, with the children that you support. It means the world to us to come to meetings like this and experience the family's experience in a different way. It's easy to sit at a cubicle or in a school, but to see and hear more deliberately, it's important, and it's foundational to our work in terms of how we make the system better and more responsive. I would say we're at a pivotal moment right now, and pivotal in the way that, yes, we're extending our contracts on a shorter term than accustomed to on a 3-year contract, but it gives us time to go through and reflect on all the areas of improvement for families. Just recently, yesterday, the comptroller released his audit of the school bus service. And much like previous audits, we agreed with many of the recommendations. And we are thankful to the comptroller's office for, one, taking interest in this, and two, doing such a thorough job and providing us a clear roadmap and places where we can improve. And work we're endeavored to do and have to put underway some years ago. As one example, we looked at, one of the initial takeaways was, there's 150,000 busing complaints in a school year and violations and such. And that's a big number. And when you scale our system, if you're running essentially 8,000 routes or 8,500 routes in the morning and running 8,500 routes in the afternoon, and you're rinse and repeating 180 school days out of the year, you're looking at 3 million trips. And 150,000 it's a lot, but 5% of our total fleet would be receiving violations per annual basis. And that's not, we want to be no violations. We want to make sure we're on time, we're deliberate in the service we provide, and we're customer focused. And so we're focused on that, but that's just one example of the audit we were very supportive of. Certainly the broad brushstrokes of transparency, accountability, engagement, these are all things we're locked in on and work we've endeavored to do. In 2018, my first direct experience with the at-large system of pupil transportation, we experienced nearly 150,000 complaints into our call center in the month of September. And in the year of 23, 24, it was nearly 150,000. So 1 month we were experiencing, serious breakdowns, serious failures, serious customer service issues. And very fortunate in the couple of years that followed that, Glenn agreed to run the organization for us. So we're forever in his debt, his leadership, his grace in this space, and many others being available to make sure we're hearing from our constituents and following up and correcting. So So what I'd say is we're going to advance on to the first slide. Most important thing that I'll say tonight is what we've been hearing. And it's important because we're listening, and we're course correcting, and we're holding accountable, and we're putting things together that maybe we could have done a better job on. So first thing I want to talk about is route efficiency. Parents, schools, administrators, all looking for shorter, more predictable service. And so the first time ever, we're rolling out our routing optimization this September, this fall. And we've done a lot of predictive analysis around it. It's been a lot of fun. But the goal here ultimately is to shorten the sequence from home to school, and do a great partnership with our partners in the special education office about how we do that, but also about how we can do it on our numbers. We've learned a lot of exciting things. Comfort and safety. I would say more often than not, we hear about hot school buses and how do we still have buses without? And so that's something we're looking to remedy. I can be honest with you, it can be remedied. It's not a lot to get an amendment to a contract. It's not a lot for us to put together a chanceless regulation and require, much like 802 when we require GPS. So there's things we're focused on that. Staff training, we added in the contract extension another day of training, how to de-escalate, how to support students in vulnerable environments. So we're there making sure that that's in the contract and we're doing what we need to do. Transparency and accountability is our biggest work stream yet. The number one thing we needed is reliable data. And I've spoken to advocates, families across the city, and talked about what it meant to be self-reported data and how do we have actual data. For the first time ever, we're now using heartbeat data to see when a bus arrives at said location and when it leaves. We took that one step further. We just started ridership tracking. Students now in our pilot can badge onto the bus, much like an OmniCard tap at an MTA terminal or on a bus. So students can now, and they've done it, and I've been monitoring one of our schools that's been doing it, and seeing a student get on at 7:09 and getting off at 7:58 with this marked time at 8 o'clock, students on time. That feels real good. That feels right. That transparency is necessary across the system. So ridership tracking is something we're working on. It's a small program, but it's something we're real excited about. And when we get to the place, it'll be system-wide, and it is not mandatory. It is an experience we want to encourage. And there's work to do there, but there's something I want to kind of come back to later. We often hear about the public reporting and the local laws. Much of what we've done is underpinned by local law 32, 33, and 34. Coming out of the 2018 council, we had a series of opportunities to look at improvements, and we have done that, and that basically informed our GPS bid, all the requirements, and that's how we shaped our current New York City school bus app. So what we want to do is now get accountable dashboards out there to the place where you could all see vendor performance in real time, on-time arrivals, staffing concerns, or safety concerns, where our safety scorecards, customer service, complaints. Those are the things we want to focus on and putting together with partners like yourself about what are the items we measure, what are the things that we find most important that we want to hold vendors accountable to. Expanded access, we certainly hear often, we need nighttime service across the city. We need summer rising nighttime service. We need Saturdays and Sundays and holidays and such. And so it's something we're endeavoring to do. We're trying to figure out the best way to do it. Certainly, we can't use the same staff across the board. These are drivers and attendants that arrive at 5:30, 6 in the morning and are running through 4 or 5 o'clock. And then an evening sequence would be problematic, but not something we can't do. We're not ruling it out, but we're looking at creative ways of solutioning there. A lot we talk about for service recoveries on weekends. Can we do other things? But now we have some solutions around Omni and rideshare. Can we provision those for students on weekends and nights and work together on that? And our team is looking at how we do that, in part to encourage travel training and independent travel throughout the city. So currently, as you all know, and we've heard this loud and clear, and Glenn and I have heard, why can't I have the Omni and my yellow bus? And I think it's very important we stop and we reevaluate the why and think about how can we. And that's important because if we could say, all right, for a 6-month or a term, you will get both. And the idea is to do some travel training and experience the system, or if there are expanded opportunities you want to get involved with, that they're there for you. The other thing was the community engagement, how we make sure you're locked in with our bus vendors and how we hear from you and you provide feedback. It's best vehicle for us. Pardon the expression, but the exchange directly from vendor to parent has to be there. The one thing we've heard more recently, the more we encourage the New York City school bus app, the more I think folks want to rely on it. And so rather than a contact us or a push notification or a link for the Eureka chatbot or the phone number for that matter for the call center is, can I just do an interactive in my feedback in the app? So we're talking to the developers. That's something we really want to do. Did we lose the script? Oh yeah, absolutely.
One thing I want to talk about as we get the slides back together is the community engagement. One of the provisions in the extended contract was the requirement for our bus vendors to have 2 town hall meetings a year with our families and advocates. We started having meetings internally on what that would look like. And not only that, today was our first meeting where we pulled advocates in as well and said, give us some ideas of how this will best work for our families. And that first meeting went very well. We're scheduling a series of meetings. And I think that that this is something that I would like to be driven on the family and the advocate level, because they're the ones that's going to benefit from that interaction. And I just want to be there to make sure that they actually heard and responded to, and in a safe space, in a safe environment, when everyone feels respected and no idea is suppressed. So I'm really encouraged by how this is starting. I'm probably going to try to expand that to have more people give their ideas, and so we can get this off the ground running, because when things start well, it's easy to continue. When we have problems early, then people lose interest, and we cannot lose interest in this. This is an opportunity that we talk about the 40-year contracts and all this, but I haven't been here for 40 years, by the way. I may look like it, but I haven't been here for 40 years. But it's just the fact to have a forum for our families actually to engage with our bus companies. And I'm going to make sure that gets off the ground and is very successful.
Yeah, and we appreciate Glenn's advocacy in that space, because changing the culture where companies were more family facing was a lot, and Glenn really held the vendors accountable, and at the end of the day, they understood and agreed. What I also like to talk about is we talked about accountability. Currently, we have the call center data posted, so you could see it now, and we're going to monitor that. As you think of items you would like to see that are, one of the things we're actually going to do is the driver login subscription. It was boosted up to 94% the other day. Glenn and I share the same goal. It is 100%. And the more we have the drivers logged in, the greater visibility for families, the greater accountability at the school level, and for us to better understand the system. So some of the things, if we go to the next slide, and by the way, to everybody at home watching, we have provided this prior to. You can all get a copy of this. And if there's a smaller group out there where at a school level or a district level, you'd like us to come out, be more than happy to. When we look at what's new in transportation, one of the things we heard about on the reimbursement side is families were laying out monies and not being reimbursed. So we completely changed that process. And certainly with some of our ACS providers, really turned it around. And 360 did a great job making sure they're getting reimbursed in a timely fashion. We streamlined the processes for students in temporary housing and foster under 801. We are actively engaged with ACS now currently to see how we meet families in this space quicker. Same thing with DHS about how we can provide service faster in the event we don't have a bus route available, rather than just provisioning rideshare with us, other vehicles that we could be using in that way. We talk a little bit more about our analytics and reporting. That's a lot of fun stuff. That's where our future is, about how we get greater efficiency, shorter routes, kids to school on time, and do better job looping. And certainly the Omni cards, that's been transformational about how schools can order directly as they need. They used to be bulk shipped out of OPT at Vernon Boulevard. This is a streamlined process, making sure the Omni card gets out to our schools as they need them. The New York City Schools account is, as you know, foundational to the visibility. So we just encourage folks to log in. It does provide all of these items: the vendor name, the contact information, the drop-off time, and the local coordinator. Schools do have the ability to look at every school bus attached or affiliated with their school. So I was speaking with a principal recently after a town hall with the chancellor and had said, look, I'm spending 25% of my time on school busing, and that's a lot. And indeed it was across the sites. The principal was responsible for 101 different school buses. So this console that you'll see later is more about how we have visibility from a desktop and not necessarily have to manage so many different issues. But the school bus app has a lot of the FAQs here. We're looking to add more and more features based upon things you provide us. So bus arrival on the app is probably the one we get most. So you want to know it's going to be there in 5 minutes. So there's push notifications. The FAQs and the chat bot are there and resources that are really helpful lately. And we're excited to share. They're available on the website as well. The login piece, I mentioned we got to 94%. When I started as a self-contained classroom teacher in the 90s, school buses came with an index card and a pencil. It was a trip card, and it would initial, you'd have to sign it. No, sign my trip card. I was here, and I was waiting for my students, and that's how it was. And we're thankful to the Council of 2018 because they really did force the issue of automation and using the GPS. And so now the drivers, it took Glenn and I a bit to make sure they were logging on, developing emails. There was so many advantages to having the drivers logging in on a daily, but it took so long. Was it charged? Did I drop it? Was it broken? And things like that. So to have the installs at 13,000, all these devices deployed, and we repair them as they break. These are not really expensive units, but they're meant to move between vehicles. The previous GPS program was hardwired to the vehicle, and it didn't allow for the flexibility we needed across our bus fleet. We're servicing 3,000 schools and programs, and sometimes we got to be flexible on how we maneuver through the system. The app, the performance, these are pretty good numbers. We had 850,000 logins in September. That's a 48% growth since the fall of 24, and a 45% growth from the spring of 25. 10,000 new users this fall. We're not branding as much as we could do, and we're going to do more of that through our socials and our local outreach with advocacy groups and principals and CECs and such. We've already had, since January 24, over 3 million logins, so it's working. And it's encouraging because the more parent conversation happens at the curb, the better. The driver knows, and the driver likes the accountability as well. We talk to drivers and say, I know where I got to be. It's enunciated turn by turn directional coming up with our new routing system. So even if they had a sub route and there was as they call a shape driver, a substitute driver, they'll be having turn by turn enunciated route directions. Yeah, and we have a pretty good app rating so far. These are the things in the overview that I don't think a lot of people know about. The route managers out there, the real-time GPS, which we have centrally, which schools have, and families see their own child. How we enter information into the student management system, and how we have our reporting dashboards. I want to pause there real quick just to say, this is for student tracking, the student experience, student routing. We also have a second or a redundant GPS system on every one of our school buses. And this is going to help inform our safety scorecard. So we use a program called GeoTab. It's through our broader apparatus with DCAS. It manages the city fleet. It's on every school bus. We've endeavored to do many school safety programs, school bus safety programs with DCAS and DOT and Vision Zero. So we use a lot of what we generate from that system. We know when a battery is going to die. We know when an oil change is needed. We know when a bus is turning too fast or braking too hard or accelerating. We know all the vehicle diagnostics, and in very rare instances where we do experience a vehicle collision, we have a vehicle accident recreation. So we know exactly where to strike, hit, at what speed traveling. And so I say that to assure you that we just don't rely solely on this. We have a duplicate GPS that does more vehicle diagnostics than student tracking. You'll see here the bus driver module. That's the one that I think is exciting for us, the turn by turn, the route. The ridership tracking is this code that we're using now. So students in support with their teachers, their paras, their attendant are badging on and badging off. I think it's really exciting. And I think families out there across the city and at home, if you're interested and you want to get involved, we're all available here. Certainly, it's the parent app that is the number one thing we're looking at. The ridership tracking, this is the pilot. I just kind of went over it real quick, who has access to it. I've been watching it, so it shows the route sequence. When somebody badges on, it says onboarded. And if a student doesn't badge on, it also holds an accounting of the route, so to speak. Or if a student doesn't badge off, we always check for sleeping children, but this will be another check and balance to make sure if somebody logged on, they need to log off. So this is the pilot. This is a small pilot right now. We think we're ready to move pretty quickly on this as the systems are pressure tested. We can expand, and as schools would want to get engaged with the process and say, look, this is important to me, makes my morning routine easier, or dismissal for that matter. So there's just a bit of a who's in the pilot now. It's very small, so it's not going to be expansive to everyone at home. This is probably the thing people expected from us. We had gone to panel for educational policy a few times, and we had a contract that we had renewed a few times. That was an older software. Quite frankly, we were the one vendor, if you will, to them that kept their 1.0 version open, so to speak. And so we're in a good place now where the routing is ready to cut over for this fall, and we've done some data work. This is exciting because we use real-time data. You could see here how our routes are spread out. But when we finish now this is not, the algorithm is not like artificial intelligence. It's a sequencing event, essentially location to location, series of students, and it produces the route. Very similar to routing around the country and around the world. We use VIA right now, and they have an algorithm that's proprietary, and it's similar to their ride shares, kind of where they started, and kind of almost like an Uber or Lyft, where it sequences the route for you. But as we did this pressure test, it showed it was going to produce a 12% reduction in travel time, increase our arrivals by 18%, getting there on time, and having fewer violations for early arrivals, which is a thing. And I think sometimes people forget that sometimes we arrive too early. We pick up too early. You're there a half hour, staff isn't there yet. Cafeteria staff isn't ready to serve breakfast, that kind of thing. So this is going to help us sharpen up how we do things. So this was probably one of the better parts of the pressure test, is that we see a 75% reduction overall in violations, and it's significantly changing things for us on the time spent. What is not here, but is something we know, Glenn and I know, they did a predictive analysis around how many routes can we save across our system, and we're running, as you know, we're around 8,500. We believe through efficiency we can kind of close the gap anywhere between 5 to 10%, potentially nearly like 800 routes in our best case scenario. We've suffered a driver shortage for some years now, hovering around 300, I think is the latest we've been looking at, Glenn.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and then this would give us the ability to cover said shortage and with excess. And so by excess, Glenn can unbuckle routes, shorten routes, or shorten stops, which is, a lot of what we do, especially when we're working with students with additional needs on travel. If we're stopping on an 8-route sequence, 3 minutes at each stop, that's 24 minutes. That's real time. And so we're trying to figure out, like, look, if it's a longer run, should 6 stops be or 4? And we'll have flexibility, we believe, going into next year. So in October, when we're back together and Glenn and I are going over the numbers, I hope we can say to you, look, we've reduced as thought complaints. We've increased on-time arrival. We're not there too early in the way that we have been. And just finding greater efficiencies, improving the experience so kids enjoy it. And certainly we're going to focus on climate control and the training and the things I mentioned. But I think if we fully use our suite of data sets available to us to do the analytics, I think between the ridership tracking, between the routing optimization, parents using the app, and our drivers who are amazing. And I want to say that because, at nights like tonight, I'll get off a call with our agency partners, and we'll talk about the weather in the morning. And we had it more recently, like, how do you get ready for Monday when it snows Saturday into Sunday, and then the bus yards have to be cleared, and if I don't know if he has to shovel their sidewalk or whatever, but we got to shovel sidewalks for 10,000 buses, and it's a lot of work. So our drivers are there, and our companies are there, and they respond each and every day for our kids and families. And so we offer additional training for that, and whether it be glucogen training or de-escalation training, or you name the opportunity, we'll partner with our partners here in the special education office, make sure the training is targeted and responsive to your needs. So just know that we do have our support hub on the website. We do have our Eureka chatbot, which is, not too personal, but it gets down to the core questions and answers, the simple ones. We remain pretty good with our call center. That's the data we post now. So you can go to the website. I will drop that. I can't do it now. I'll drop it in the chat, or Mark or Maggie, I'll send it to you. And then I want to really think about our scorecard. How we imagine improving transportation through data analytics, and the final being vendor performance. So how do we make sure that on any given day, and I think this was highlighted in the controller's report as well, around collection of liquidated damages, and that's unique. The analysis used there to say that $43 million was not collected wasn't fully representative of the process. On any given year, we collect in liquidated damages for said violations around $5 to $7 million. There's a lot that's adjudicated before a violation is given. There was an accident, proven violation, but there was an accident. You're not getting a liquidated damage for that. There was a weather event and flooding, and then we couldn't get that. So there's a lot that goes into it. Driver didn't log into the app. Well, as a new driver, didn't have the password because we didn't onboard, or whatever the issue. So I just wanted to say that because we do and will remain committed to holding accountable through liquidated damages. But those are some of the, and I also will link, Mark and Maggie, our response to the controller's report. Again, I want to thank the controller for a thoughtful, and deliberate assessment. I thought it was real good. I think there's things that we're working on that we're happy about, and there's things that we know we can do better. And so with that, I'm sure you have questions. I know we're kind of time bound, so I left enough time, I hope, to open it up.
Yeah, so I want to first open it up to our members for any questions that you may have. I have my own, but I would like to open it up, and then so we could open it to the public. Please, 1 minute each. Oh, Jonah, please go first if you have a question.
I didn't really have a question. I just wanted to make a statement. I said that I think that this new app is very important. I feel like the act of being able to track your child is incredibly important to parents, and I feel like that this would be very beneficial, as well as, like you said, keeping the drivers accountable, because I know many students who have been left at the bus stop many times just without a way to get to school.
Appreciate that.
Any members of the council that would like to go ahead and ask the team anything?
I just want to say I like everything that you guys are doing for the children on the bus. I have tons of kids, but they don't ride the bus, but their friends do. And it's just nice to know that you guys are listening to the families, because that's something that a lot of the families don't feel like they're being heard. And I like that you're thinking about the town hall and all that other stuff. And I'm just wondering, will we be able to meet again after maybe next year, when you get new numbers and new updates, so we can compare and just talk about other ways that's
Yeah.
exciting for the bussers?
Yeah, we'd love to be back. February, March. Important for us to talk about what we're doing with the routing optimization, when we're cutting over, how we've expanded the ridership tracking, how our drivers are logging in, how our data shows up. So we're telling the story on real data. And it's something now that it's foundational. We didn't have this data set to tell you when a bus got to the curb and when it didn't, and when a student got on, when it didn't. So I think it's a new level of accountability that was so desperately needed, and it's refreshing, quite frankly, for us too, because Glenn can have very candid conversations. Said this is not debatable. We saw when the bus rolled up, so we're looking forward to that.
I just want to say that I do enjoy this engagement. Being held accountable is part of what we have to do. And I invite this all the time. I had a conversation a little earlier with one of your members, and I was saying that never feel shy to call me and let me know what's going on, or send emails from the families. So doing that is reaching out to us, and us engaging with you is something that I look forward to. So definitely we will be back to do this again. Thank you.
Hi, Kevin. Hi. So CCSE. So I have a question, Kevin. The app you just mentioned about, so is it the app that mandatory the driver has to turn it on, or it just optional for them?
No, they're required to log in every day through their route sequence with their own ID. So they have to go with their user ID and they log in. We were at 94% just the other day. So yes, all 8,500 they have to log in to be visible to the families who get the New York City School Bus app from the App Store and they download it. If the driver doesn't log in, their route or their sequence won't appear. So they won't know the location or things of that nature, and certainly wouldn't be able to do ridership tracking. So they're kind of like mutually reinforcing.
So you mean every school bus driver, they have to turn on the app, and every parent that download the app from, just you mentioned that
Yeah.
they will see the real-time location of their kid
Yeah.
or the school bus.
Yeah.
So the bus driver have to log in.
That's right. And that's one of so Glenn and I spent, I don't know how many months trying to make sure the feedback we were getting from advocates and families were captured into our contract extensions. So it was about the most, I think, tension was around that, making sure we got that as a login. There's other things we wanted around training and participation in MW spending, and there was other things we were pushing into the contract, but foundational to what we needed was reliable data.
So do you have any
Sorry.
data or monitor that see what percentage all the bus driver log into this app?
Every day.
100%?
Every day. Oh, 94, right? It was 94, yeah. Yes.
Sorry, Ron, sorry. Just once again, members, we have, I don't know, maybe 15 minutes or so.
You have like 30 minutes left.
Okay,
You've
so
been really good.
we still have to be mindful of the public. So please, members, 1 minute for questions, follow-ups would be after if we have time. So sorry. Sorry, guys. Go ahead, Irene.
Hi, this is Irene. I want to thank you for the great presentation. I want to bring up that it is so important for the communication and the follow-up. And thank you for giving me this data regarding the calling center. I do have families always struggle about following what the case and incident. And I just want to find out usually what will be the standard time that the case could be followed up or could be resolved.
Turning around. The turnaround time from the call center complaint, 24 to 48 is.
Yeah, it's supposed to be 24 to 48 hours is the turnaround. So we're working on that immediately. I'd say sometimes we miss that mark, but we're working with Nagaro, our call center, to get the information to us more quickly, and we're efforting to make sure that we have fidelity to that 24 to 48 hours.
Hi, yes, of course, we enjoyed the presentation. Thank you so much. And thank you for the slides, by the way. Sure. I just wanted to, I know we spoke last week, but one of the things that would be wonderful is if the New York City School Bus app would be up to par at a point where parents can place the complaints directly or concerns within the app, as opposed to calling the call center OPT. So that way things could be remedied maybe a little bit quicker, because typically the tickets tend to open. Now there's an emailing system where people are being emailed, but then the cases tend to close very quickly without real true investigation and that type of resolve to resolve certain concerns. And the other thing is, if we can also report glitches or bugs or the app being down, or possibly the driver forgetting to log in or log on in order for parents to track that bus. And I mentioned before, like my husband, he likes the Call of Duty. And so anytime there's a problem with the gaming system, they can send information and it gets corrected quite quickly. So that would be something that would be wonderful in future, and possibly even the app, like I know you'd mentioned it running more on real time, kind of like similar to an Angel Sense,
Yeah.
where you're really having an idea of the arrival time, because the matron communication and the driver communication might not always be consistent and sometimes existent, sorry. So that's another concern, as sometimes they do not want to share a contact number.
Yes.
And that can be very concerning for parents to deal with. And the 2 minute wait time or the 1 minute wait time, not always easy for the special needs community. So.
I agree. In that order, wait times was something we're looking at, flexibility, patience, meeting students and families where they are. I know people stress on-time arrival, but I think when you're working in an environment where the services are so desperately needed at schools, that waiting a minute or two is not appropriate. And so we're trying to do on-time arrival and the balance of making sure students and families get supports they need. I have already mentioned to the programmers, I mentioned it to Joel, about bringing the notification series. Number one, to have a unified call center, because I think there's admittedly slippage between calling a bus company and calling OPT. There's not a unified call system. And then not having a link to the app is the other. So if there's a way for us to bundle a unified call center that hovers around the app that is with the company and with our OPT center, that's something we're trying to script backwards. And certainly the ability to hit glitches and bugs and like no lock and that kind of thing, yeah, definitely, that would be inclusive.
Thank you. Any other members online or here that would like to ask a question? Okay. All right. So if it's okay now, we're gonna turn to the public questions. So Lupe, please go ahead. Anybody else, just raise your virtual hand or please let us know in the chat or, unmute. Thank you.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Lupe Hernandez, she, her, ella pronouns, and I am here on behalf of the New York City Public Advocate's Office as an education and opportunity community organizer. I want to thank OPT and everyone for all of your efforts and engagement. It has definitely been a big improvement for many of the busing advocates in this space. Thank you for the presentation. And one question I had in regards to the audit and our GPS tracking system is if OPT or DOE plans to recoup any of the, I think it was $43 million in penalties that companies had faced to not turning on the GPS system when they were required to do so. And if there is a pathway for us to be able to recoup those funds and maybe use them to retrofit our buses for climate control, dual climate control. I mean, there's many things that we could possibly use that those funds for, but just wondering if that is something that you guys are thinking about.
Yeah.
I will also say that I know that even in my own personal experience as a parent who uses the app, there were times that it showed offline on my end. And then when I looked at the bus driver's app on their end, it was working, like it showed them online. So not sure if that discrepancy has anything to do with why the penalties were not recouped.
Yeah, thank you. Great question, Lupe. We do endeavor to recoup every infraction, every warranted violation. I mentioned earlier, some of these are adjudicated through almost a hearing process where facts and evidence are brought to our office, and we reconcile that on a rolling basis. There's also periods of time when we started the VIA program, while we were generating violations for September and October, we weren't issuing liquidated damages because it was the beginning of the program. And so there were examples of that, and through contract negotiations and things, we would try to recoup every liquidated damage issued, but know that there are instances in which those were not. I'm not saying they were waived, but if we asked the vendors to start something new, that there was a transition period, a training period, a technical ramp-up period, and so a lot of what is referenced in the report could be attributed to September and October when we weren't holding that violation to the same standard as we do now. So, but definitely going to hear you loud and clear. I think the controller was clear. We'll come back to this group and others with just a clearer accounting for you of what that process looks like and what would be recouped on a liquidated damage side. And I had mentioned earlier, we're averaging every year inwards around recouping $7 to $8 million a year in liquidated damages.
Thank you so much. Any other members of the public that would like to ask any other questions, please unmute, please raise your virtual hand, put it in the chat. There were some questions in the chat. I don't know if you want to unmute, Pist. There was the EpiPen question. Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to find it. Sorry.
So the question from one of the audience was, is there EpiPen training and seizure training for bus drivers or monitors?
So we do have a standard first aid, AED, and CPR training, and we have ran trainings throughout the year. EpiPen administration, so that is often covered through a paraprofessional. My son Jack still carries his EpiPen. He's severely allergic. So I do know that that is top of mind for families. Glenn, I don't know if we have a precise EpiPen training.
No, I want to get that exact information back to you. I don't want to misquote what's happening there, but we do have training, like Kevin mentioned, but that's a nurse training, so I will get that to you. I'm sorry? Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's what I did. I'm sorry. Will we repeat that when I just?
Yes, please.
There you go.
Oh, okay. Yes, I want to get the precise training methods surrounding EpiPen and some of the other things to you. I want to make sure that I'm not misquoting exactly what it is. But like Kevin said, it is a nurse training and also part of the state training. So I want to get that to you, exactly how that's administered.
Thank you, Glenn. So Citywide Council and Special Education last month passed a resolution on busing with 25 suggestions and points that we had. You've covered a lot of them tonight. Thank you. There's a lot of good movement, which is encouraging. Some of the things you did talk about, the after school, the summer, the weekend. What do you need from the community to move forward on those 3 points specifically?
Yeah, I think this is long overdue. Thinking about a different evening contract is something that will probably be the most appropriate in that taxing our drivers to continue to work on through the evening didn't work previously. There was a project that was previously called Project Read. It came out under Chancellor Rudy Crew, and it was solely focused on reading recovery and phonics and things to make sure students were raising their literacy levels. And so that morphed over time and wasn't really managed well over time. And it got to a place where it was very hard to staff and wasn't predictable. Was there a 6 o'clock end time, a 7 o'clock end time? And so we tried that with our existing contractors and just found it wasn't that easy to do. So I would think a new contract structure for nights and weekends. Not to say we can't do it with a new contract. One of the things I think we all have looked at is what would that take? And we thank you for your efforts. And in a rebid scenario would take EPPs in Albany and those who have joined in the efforts. We thank you. And that would allow us to rebid and create a more on-demand and responsive contract model that would allow for variations on the daily to account for students and family schedule. So I would think not necessarily an amendment now to change that. Potentially on Saturdays, we believe that might be some more practical ways to advance Saturday. Evening seems a bit of a challenge, but we do think that maybe other agencies that host after school. And certainly one of the things Glenn and I talk about is our partners at ACS, and how we provide contract options for our families in that space. And DHS and students in temporary housing, how we provide real-time options in that space at the moment of homelessness. And so for us, it's about other options, not necessarily relying on our current contract structure to try to accommodate that. So I think foundational to your question would be a rebid scenario that would allow for a more expansive and responsive RFP through EPPs in Albany would allow us to rebid and set some of these expectations that would be accommodated through a contract.
Last couple things. Data you talked about. Are you going to be giving some type of pulse data? Right now you have on NYC open data, you have the self-reported data that lets you know if there was an incident, what it was, and the approximate time. Are we going to get to a point where we can have some type of pulse data which still protects students' privacy, so it can't be second by second like a taxi does, but if it's every 3 minutes, every 5 minutes, it just pings where the bus is at or whatever. So we can get family-facing data showing that and then showing the badge on and badge off, not the kid, but on a route, how many badge on and offs and was the bus on time or not.
Yeah, we're exploring ways to determine what real-time data that we can post. Earlier, Kevin mentioned that we have the call center data on, and we are looking to do some more transparency. Just another, I guess, to be transparent about OPT, we've been working on trying to get enough data analysts on board. It's a difficult position to fill. But I believe that pretty soon we will have the kind of staff that we need so we can have some real-time legitimate data that we all can be confident in. So yeah, so we're looking to many ways to put additional real-time data on that is a tool that our families can use.
And while we're still waiting for the weekend, the afternoon, the summer, how do we get Omni cards to all the kids? How do we get the ride share info in everyone's Nixa account that's on the bus so they can at least Band-Aid for now? What do you need us as a community to do to get those two things to happen?
I mean,
I'm gonna turn this over to Malika Parker Moore, Executive Director of Ridership Support.
So the good thing about the Omni cards is that they're 365 7 days a week. And so that was an expansion that we partnered with the MTA last year. It's been going great, allowing up to 4 taps per day. A lot of students and families really appreciate that so that it's able to do a lot of work study or outside activities that they didn't have access to before. Given that this operation is now 12-month, it has allowed us to not have to worry about, spring versus summer versus fall, like it's continual. And those cards are active from September 1st, say of this year, 2025, all the way until August 31st, 2026. So those kids have those cards in hands. Obviously, if students need replacements, we're able to provide those to the schools in a timely fashion once they notify our office. So we replenish those. We also send a bunch of extra cards in the summer as well, because there are new students who may be enrolling at different sites whose eligibility may change. So we've been very effective. We have little to no escalations around that, considering previous years when it was the MetroCard model.
The challenge with that, though, is our kids are not eligible. If you've got a bus, you can't get an Omni card.
Yeah.
Our kids are discriminated against today because they cannot use it on the weekends, 365 days.
This
Use
for
it for after school, if they've got a work site or if they have a sport.
yeah.
They are paying out of their own pocket if they can.
Yeah, you're right. Where one of the things I mentioned earlier is we're trying to figure out a travel training mechanism by which you can hold both for 6 months and we evaluate, or if there's a program to include. Mark, for us, that's more of a financial and a policy decision. I don't think there's a restraint. I think it's a matter of if we're able to allocate funding, because the program we do operate under, to Lanika's point, is we have an MOU with the MTA. And it's dollar bound and it's terms and requirements, and it's an MOU. It's what it is. It's the rules of engagement. Simply adding more cards wouldn't work, minus the bottom line funding to match it. So it's something we looked at. We have a decision memo we're in draft on, and seeing with our partners in the special education office about how we expand options and what are those spaces that we could do quickly.
And I'll just add to that as well. There's also a 2-trip Omni card for special programs. So schools can apply for those on behalf of their students and families. And so that doesn't have any great distance eligibilities. It's for the nights, it's for the weekends, it's for the things that families may want to have access to. It's a special program exception. The information is on our info hub. So schools can feel free to fill out an online form, request those, and we'll ship those to the families who may not be eligible, but who want to participate in these extracurricular activities.
And if we're looking for money, the PEP just DOE tabled 4 contracts yesterday. So if we need some money, there's money available as of today, thankfully for the chancellor and office tabling, but we can certainly spend the money on the kids and not on companies. All right, and any last questions, comments from council? Stephanie, go ahead, please. Stephanie, you're up. Stephanie Bonilla. Go
Hello.
ahead.
Hi, good evening. My question is, what about seizure training? Because bus paras and matrons have no training on this, and there's been sometimes incidents where they've been riding on the bus, and sometimes incidents like this happens.
So I think most important on some of the more in-depth training, we have to partner with our Office of School Health and our special education team to see what are the in-service, in-day supports for our students with any of the concerns you mentioned, and what are those trainings. We did add, as I mentioned earlier, that training day. And so if EpiPen training, for an example, which is not administered by drivers in attendance, and I mentioned they have AED and CPR, but this is something we would take away on training opportunities for our staff. And so, Suzanne, we'll follow up on this. This is a good takeaway for us to follow up on those specific seizure trainings if we can incorporate them as well.
And are you open to working with agencies that are able to certify staff?
That seems logical. If they're certified, and yeah, let me get back to you. If you have, I hope everyone has my email, my cell, but I'm at kmoran2@schools.nyc.gov. And if you wanted to text in the group, I'm at 917-755-7339. If you have suggestions, recommendations, I'm pretty much plugged in all the time. And so anything you have, if there's a vendor, like you said, that's certified to do this work, and we need to get there. We have 52 different vendors that we could point you to and say if this is something that's required, that might be helpful.
No
I
problem.
want to
Thank you so
add
much.
to that, just as Kevin mentioned earlier, that the EpiPen training is not required with our bus attendants, but there is, with the first aid training, there is a seizure recognition training that they do have. So I will try to see how fulsome that is and then get that to everyone, but there is a seizure recognition training with our attendants.
No problem. And I'll reach out as well, Mr. Moran. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Any other questions, Maggie?
Thank you. Thank you to the public for staying on and asking all those pertinent questions in the chat. And here. So my question that I put in the chat, as you know, Kevin, AI powered super hubs. I want to know more about that and how the data is going to be used and how that will impact the staff currently, doing that work.
All right. So this is top of mind. It was something that was talked a lot about at the panel. I think for us, it's we have an obligation to come back with our data privacy team, with our AI leadership team, and our DIIT partners to give you a more thorough Q&A or background of what the program is and what it isn't. I think Glenn and I are admittedly not the AI experts in the agency, so I hate to end on a question I didn't answer. But I promise to come back. I would say this more globally. These evenings are nice. It's always good to come into our Zoom room, but I think Glenn's doors and our door is wide open. Please, if you want, visit, see the staff, talk with the staff. Used to do walkthroughs at bus depots with panel members or council members and meet dispatchers and meet mechanics and see people in the space and learn quickly about what the service is and isn't. So I wouldn't, and I don't want to end on saying I don't have the AI answer for you right this moment. So if you could give me another question.
I understand. I understand that because we are not AI experts ourselves. Therefore, admittedly, because of that reason, I think we as a council, as OPT team, DOE, the works, we have an obligation to find those answers prior to utilizing those systems, those curriculums, you name it. Why? Because student data is involved and personal identifier information is involved of minors, of students. We have to follow FERPA. We have to follow the laws in the books. And unfortunately, right now, what we've seen, some companies are not following the law.
Yeah.
Period. So it is our duty and our job to make sure to hold these companies accountable with our sensitive data, that is our student data. There's been so many breaches, as you know, Kevin. We've spoken in length at the panel for educational policy about that. But also there's a concern with staffing and with the workforce and something that is not talked about, right? So we're talking about drivers, we're talking about matrons, and we're talking about those that staff the support hub and those centers. What is happening with that? But that's food for thought. I also wanted to highlight some of the points in the resolution. So the providing of monthly public reports on bus service performance, assignment delays, on-time arrival data, staffing shortages, etc. There are some things in the resolution that we passed, and we really worked hard on this council, that are doable right now. So we want to bring it back. These are solutions. These are not complaints. We are here to work with you on that. We have that EPP bill that is still stuck in committee. That's why we're here. That's why community members are here to go and advocate for that, because that's where a lot of problems stem from. And you guys already have my questions. I did ask during the briefing about, how will the routing optimization impact double, triple routes? And that are servicing multiple school sites within the same borough, how that data is going to be used. You reassured me, but I would like to see that. I would like to get confirmations on how that company, just the oversight of that information, and just how you guys are making sure that these companies are abiding by that.
Yeah, definitely. I think for that, we'll have a separate meeting, and we'll have Via, who is the one who has done all the testing and the requirements, and confidentiality agreements, and that have been vetted by our legal team and vetted by our IT team. So that is something we can absolutely do with you. Just a reminder that our routing is not AI; it's an algorithm. The chatbot, it was a question like how the Q&As, it's a good question. I want to follow up with our team. But definitely that would be something that I've asked our programmers about, if we could sit together like this with the company in particular and sit with our programmers and say, look, what are the things that you're focused on? What are the protections that you provide? And ultimately, we know the things that we provide as vendors and contractors. So we can assure you we're taking that matter very seriously and safeguarding students' information.
Thank you. We have two questions that popped up quickly. So question is, during the summer when I log into the bus app, I see the bus driver's location shows Bronx. However, we live in Queen. Why is this happening? Glenn? I assume it's the bus yards. It happens to be for that route in the Bronx.
Yeah, but if the location of the bus is showing in a different borough than it is, then we might be talking about some technical issue. I think that if we can just get the specifics to us, that I'll be able to delve into it a little bit more. The bus should be shown exactly its location. I don't see why that might have to be some kind of technical mishap that we should be investigating. So I might get something specific.
Or a multi-borough route. It could be traveling off route, and we'd have to see it to tell you exactly what happened.
The other one is via PETS certified.
So PETS is like a personnel clearance roster system that some parts of the agency use.
They're not our employee, so they're not with kids, and they're not, they don't go through PETS clearance. There's a different set of requirements to clear vendors to engage with our data.
Great, thank you.
I would say, I can't not take a question and get a good answer, but our drivers and attendants were not in PETS in 2019, and we re-fingerprinted all 16,000. And that actually is also, we're linked to DMV Lens. So anytime a driver or attendant is linked to anything across the state and beyond, that we have a fingerprint that goes and we get an automatic notification. So the PET system is phenomenal, but it's traditionally used for our contracted inline staff that are working with kids directly.
Suzanne?
Thank you, and thank you for that question, Lupe. Really, really grateful, Deputy Chancellor Moran, Glenn, Lanika, Melissa, we were really glad that you were here. I personally learned some things tonight that I did not know, and I'm hoping other people did too. And I really would be remiss if I did not call out that while this work and moving, busing, routing, customer service, transparency, and engagement is incredibly important and valuable to our families, this is also one of the reasons why New York City Public Schools, and certainly Dial under Deputy Chancellor Christina Foti, that we are so focused on building and expanding high quality programs close to home. So our students can go to school in the communities in which they live, with their siblings, neighbors, cousins, and that they forego an hour and change bus ride because locally where they live, the program that student needs exists. And this council much appreciated, often asks, what can I do? What do you need? What can we do? And your continued advocacy, certainly as we welcome a new administration, around the need for more high quality programs close to home for our students is key. I do not believe that we will be coming together before the holiday and the new year. So from the Division of Inclusive Accessible Learning, and I'll say for my colleagues in Deputy Chancellor Moran's team as well, we wish you all a safe, a restful holiday spent with people that you like to be around and people that like to be around you. And we are genuinely looking forward and need to hit the ground running January 26th, and we will see you all then. Mark and Maggie, thank you so much for setting this up tonight. Nicole.
And thank you, everyone. OPT, thank you, Office of Special Education. Really appreciate your partnership and helping us push forward to help our students. Appreciate it.
Would you be willing to go on PA meetings and just speak with the parents? Because a lot of our parents, they're busing and they have questions, but a PA president can't answer them, or the principal cannot. So are you open to that?
Yeah, we are our teams. We have transportation liaisons at schools and borough transportation coordinators, and we have our central staff and us. It would be the delight, people seeing the service, hearing the service in real time.
OPT has a communications team also that would definitely love to join this meeting. So definitely.
Making it an official town hall, so to speak. So
Yeah.
that would be, I think it's in the contract anyways.
Yeah.
So that would be wonderful because
Twice a
there's
year.
endless questions.
Twice a year.
Okay, I definitely get this posted. We will share the work.
Thank you to the team. Good night. Happy holidays. You guys knocked it out of the park. Thank you so much. Thank you.
I'll return the microphone.
And we're gonna take a 5-minute break. So 5-minute break. So we'll be back at 7:50.
Passing it back.
7:50.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Rose, can we start? Okay, my apologies, everybody, for that delay. We had a couple of issues to talk about, and apologies. Do we have a motion to go into executive session?
My question is, how will you go in executive session and I am online?
We will get a breakout room.
Talk
We'll
about-
have to have a breakout room, Dr. Sinai set up, so we can
Okay,
include
I
you.
just have one more question. If y'all had things to talk about, how could you have a conversation with our other members?
Dr. Kent, we have a legal issue we need to deal with.
Okay,
So we have a legal issue we're trying to deal with FACE. And so we have FACE representative here. So we need to go to executive session to get a understanding from FACE. No, we need you for this to stay because we need to get the breakout room set up for. No, so we need a motion. Is there a motion to go into executive session?
I second.
Well, we need a motion. Okay, we have a motion from Susie. We have a second. Okay. Rose, do we need to do a roll call for executive session? Yes or no? We need a roll call to go into executive session? Yeah.
Francesca here, Dr. Sonia
Sinai.
Sinai. Dr. Sinai?
I'm here.
No, but are you yes or no or abstain on going into executive session?
You were asking Rose if we need to do a order. I didn't hear what Rose said.
This is a motion to go into executive session.
Okay, so what are we doing now? I didn't hear what else was happening. It wasn't clear.
So
Are you
the
doing a
roll call
call?
is, there was a motion to go into executive session. And now we're voting on if we're going into executive session or not. It's a legal issue, so we will not be able to discuss it if we're in public.
I understand. So is
You
Rose
abstain?
roll call vote? Is that what's happening now?
Yes, it's a roll call vote to go into executive session.
Okay.
Is it a yes, no, or abstain, Dr. Canton?
I said yes. I never said
Okay,
it.
sorry.
Y'all confusing the shit out of
The
me.
microphone's a little hard to hear in here. I apologize.
Y'all just doing too much.
Joanne? Mark?
Yes.
Ying Zing?
Yes.
Maggie?
Yes.
Susan? Yes. Gina?
Yes.
Jonah?
Jonah is left the meeting. He left the meeting.
Wait. We have to clear
That's all right.
sorry, the people that are online.
So there'll be a moment before we can talk. I apologize, everybody. Well, we need interpretation out of here. They're in here currently, Mandarin, Spanish.
Yes, I'm here.
Is that you, Gia? Okay, yes, please, yes.
Kim has to be put in.
Interpretation teams, we're going to dismiss you because there's no one on the lines.
All right, sounds good. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you. Happy holidays,
everybody. Yep, thank you.
And also Rose, I think Kim also what
Kim's off. Kim's off now.
okay.
All right, just making sure for what we have joined. Spanish interpreter still on. Spanish interpreter is off. Dr. Cannon, you're there. Okay, great. Thank you.
Great.
Everybody. Rose, has the recording stopped? All right. Good evening, everybody. Deepest apologies for the delay. Thank you for sticking around. We are now back in the calendar session for Citywide Council Special Education. We are now on agenda item 6, which is the CCSE District 75 opening, which we have. We have a candidate here. So Mr. Diaz, welcome. So
Hey, how are you?
good, thank you. So we want to start in giving you, everyone's gotten your applicant one pager, we'll call it. But we want to give you a couple minutes to just introduce yourselves and let us know why you want to be on CCSE and tell us who you are.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you. Well, my name is retired Army Sergeant Louis Diaz III. I'm retired of the United States Army. I'm also a child welfare specialist of the Administration of Children's Services. And also I'm a local 371 union member. So, and I'm honored to take this seat and for the Citywide Council of Special Education. I'm here first and foremost as a parent of a child with special needs, like many families in the city. My journey through special education has not been easy. I have experienced firsthand confusing, isolating, and at times overwhelming. The system can be for families who are simply trying to secure appropriate services, dignity, and respect for their children. I want to be very clear and transparent about why I chose to step into this role. Bullying, exclusion, and retaliation directed at both my family and others plays a major role in driving me to take the seat. My son was physically abused in the school system, and I advocated, me and my wife. No parent advocating for their child should ever feel silenced, targeted, or made to feel unwelcome for speaking up. Unfortunately, those experiences are real for too many families across the city. Rather than allowing those experiences to discourage me, I chose to turn them into purpose. I'm here to ensure that all families, regardless of borough, background, or level of advocacy experience, have a voice at the table. I'm committed to advocacy for transparency, accountability, and equitable access to services for every child receiving special education service in New York City. I got all the resources in children's services, and also as a veteran also. This seat is not about titles or recognition. No, it's about standing up for families who are afraid to speak, families who are tired of being ignored, and families who deserve better. I intend to work collaboratively for everyone, respectfully and relentless to make sure the concerns of parents are heard and acted upon. And thank you for the opportunity to serve here. Thank you.
Hey, Mr. Diaz. Now open it up to questions. Questions from council members? Please go ahead.
Can you give an example of where you, whether it's your own personal example or another parent at school where you like spoke out for them because they felt like they couldn't be heard, or just like an example? Yeah.
One example, a parent had a problem with the IEP. She was basically seeing a lot of things that wasn't right, that it was changed without her decision. And basically I was like, listen, let me be there for you. Contact me as soon as possible. I'm there at the next like for the next meeting. We had that meeting and basically to find out, we convened the meeting and basically find out why these changes have happened. And thankfully that with all the resources, probably a New York State complaints, helping her out, got back the resources of the IEP for her child.
Additional questions?
Yes, hello, Mr. Diaz, how are you?
How are you?
Thank you. Yes, of course, I just actually, because I'm aware, I know that you've had to, you mentioned something about like retaliation, having to speak out, and I know it's been public that you've had to make comments about your son's school principal and such. Do you have any regrets or anything about things that you've had to say publicly about the school or the principal?
Not once, because to tell you the truth, all principals and administration should act accordingly to help parents, staff, and families. All together should be one. I have family in the Department of Education. My mom is a retired para. So it's weird, how that situation happened. Sometimes you got the honest truth and accountability. If you don't do it, who's going to hold them accountable? You could go to the superintendent, you could make complaints to the PEP, in which you can see me speaking, it's recorded, and that's why I want parents to understand something's not right. Hey, listen, hey, we're here to work together. This is a community. This is everybody here. We want to make the school better. If that's not happening, there's a problem.
Going to your profile, you mentioned that you are committed to ensuring that all children have access to safe, supportive, and high quality learning environments. Now, based on your experience, how would you bring that approach to this council? And yeah, and just give examples of how you would do it.
Oh, definitely. Like, we just recently have, Deputy Chancellor or Kevin Moran, right? Yeah, for LPT and buildings. Yeah. Well, cameras in the school buses, cameras in the classrooms, make accountability, show like, hey, this is what's happening in the classroom to make the parents feel at ease and also the protection for the staff. I know UT is against that, but this is what happened with the NYPD. They didn't want to use the cameras, but guess what? It showed a lot of stuff that basically for them and also for the public, what's going on, because we need accountability.
Other questions? Irene?
I have one.
Irene, go, and then Dr. Canton, you'll be next.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, while you while you are doing advocacy for the family and provide support to the parent, I'm so sure that there will be a lot of challenges or conflicts in the process. I would like to know, how will you handle or face those challenges or conflicts to make it to be able to support the families or the parents?
Well, to basically to help them out with the advocacy and everything, it's basically just showing up, either by phone, email, being there, and like, hey, make arrangements. Hey, this is the paperwork. This is what we got to do. Show them the process. Who are your leaders? To help you out, because we're all trying to help that child. To grow up, because in the end, time, is undefeated. We were trying to do the best thing for them. And get the best care. And to look out for them. So, and that's why I want that for for any parent. If they need help, hey, call me, email me, let me know. I'm there. I'll give you so much information, how I do with my veteran brothers and sisters. Hey, I'd give them everything like, hey, this is what we have, to help support your child, anything you need, any resources. I'm 24/7. And that's one thing me and my wife are very big advocates, because in this, for me to be better is my wife, Hi, Michelle. Um, and, we have to grow to help our children grow.
Thank you. I can tell that you have been putting a lot of effort to help and support the family, but I am concerned about how will you facing the against conflicts or those challenges. Conflicts, yes.
Depending on conflicts, depending. Well, it's we're people, we're in New York City, so everybody has different, different things, different places, different who we are, cultures, and we gotta learn from each other, and we gotta sit down, to have that conversation. Because if we don't have that conversation, then how we, the conflict, it's gonna keep on going. And if you just want to speak about it, you need to talk, hear about it, just learn from each other. That's what I'm looking at. And it could be different conflicts of different things, but you still have to learn from each other and speak. Because if you don't speak, how are you going to have anything done?
Dr. Canton?
Hi, Mr. Diaz. Am I correct? Is that what you said your name was?
Sergeant Diaz.
Okay. Good evening, Mr. Diaz. So I heard you speak a lot about advocacy, advocating for your child, advocating for issues. Clearly, there's some controversies around how you have advocated in the past. That was also mentioned. My question to you is, what is your understanding of your role as a member of the Citywide Council for Special Education? Advocacy is something that we all do, but there's a distinct purpose and role that we serve on this council. And while we do a lot of individual work at the micro level with families, there's a lot of macro work that we have to do as a team and as a council. So what is your understanding of the Citywide Council for Special Ed, and how do you think you're going to fit into that?
Well, to fit in, being a special education parent, you have to, still put in the work. You gotta go to schools, find out if everything's all right, make sure, everything is everything's working right, everything's okay. If any issues brought up between the city and also with the schools, to make sure that everything's working all together. Because if not, everybody is doing advocacy individually, but in the end, Special Education Council is basically, in which I'm trying to learn, is basically here to help out the city and the parents, here. There's a lot of questions.
Okay, so I have a question. I agree with you in some aspects, but we're one of the things I do want to make clear is that we as a council are not here to police New York City Department of Education, because that's what it sounded like you were saying. Like we were supposed to go into schools. We as a council don't necessarily go into schools. We work on policy issues. We do different things. So the first thing I would say is, and I say it to any person who wants to be a part of this council, is understanding your role as a member. And our role as a member is to work not only with parents, but we work as a bridge with the New York City Department of Education to help make our schools better through policy, through conversation, dialogue. Where there's individual needs, we can be of support to those parents, but that's not the job of our council. So with that being said, I want to ask you, in being a member on this council for D75 children, with all the issues that we see in D75 schools and the variations of issues, depending on what D75 school you attend, what experience do you have outside of just being a parent who has advocated for your kid, or an understanding of those variations that kids may have? And how do you plan to bring some of those resources that you spoke about earlier to this council to better help us support those families in D75 schools, as well as children with other variations. And when I say variations, I mean a disability, but I don't use that language. So if you hear me say variation, I'm talking about a child with a special need or a disability. I don't use that kind of language. But how are you planning to do that outside of just your advocacy stuff that you've been doing in terms of helping people find and get their individual needs met?
Well, in children's services, there's a lot of resources that I could get info, that not even some of the public could get, and I could get interesting things that basically shows like, hey, guess what? This is what, to help this council, like, hey, maybe this parent needs this. Maybe we could talk about getting grants or certain things, with the city to work with each other. Those are the info that I could have, for this council. And that's what I believe I could share. Doctor, it's, it's again, I'm not here for titles, I'm here to work, you know, and I'm here always, working. I came down here for a reason, and I put that application for a reason. It's to work to help the council and help each other and help New York City and the families.
Thank you, Mark. I don't have anything else.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Okay. All right, at this point, is there a motion to vote? Oh, sorry, I apologize. Okay. Okay, do we have a motion to vote on a candidate?
I make a motion that we vote on the D75 candidate, Mr. Diaz.
I second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed?
Supposed to be an individual vote.
Abstain. Oh, is it a roll call? Oh, I'm sorry. My apologies. Rose is going around. Sorry. Thank you, Dr. Canton.
Okay.
Yes.
We are voting for the D75 candidate.
We are voting to have a vote, not on the candidate. Voting to have a vote. Yeah, it's a voice vote. Now so when we've had the voice vote, we had enough yeses. So now Rose will do the roll call for the candidate.
Francesca,
Yes.
Dr. Sanad,
Abstain.
Joanne, Mark,
Yes.
Ron,
Abstain.
Maggie,
Yes.
Susie,
Okay, you can come back.
Irene,
Abstain.
Joan, and
Abstain.
back to Susie.
Yeah, for me, it's a no. Unfortunately.
There are no majority voting.
Sergeant Diaz, really appreciate you applying. Unfortunately, we have 3 yeses, 1, 2, 3, 4 abstains and 1 no. So we don't have a majority. But thank you for your service. Thank you for your participation serving our community. Thank you. Thank you. Good night. All right, we are now at public comment, part of the agenda. Public comment? Any public comment? Rima, please.
Hi, good evening, everybody. Just got out of President's Council. So I usually never, ever, ever make your meeting, but I'm glad that I made the tail end of it. Um, just want to say how surprised I am with the level of intensity that the questions were for the candidate. Um, I didn't see this level of intensity with the elections and the town halls that got you all elected. And I have seen Sergeant Diaz in many spaces advocating for District 75 students that are actively being harmed in different places. With valid concerns and reports and findings attached. And so I'm a bit disappointed that you were all elected on a lot less than what you did to this poor man. I also want to say that it's very noble to share a story where a student has, your story, and that as advocates you didn't hear that. And maybe you should check with the District 75 community, the rest of it, before you make a determination, um, based on what it sounds like reputation based on the questions. But I'm sure an investigation will be done into that. But I just want to express my disappointment because none of you were questioned in that way in your forums. And so I hope that, going forward that we were able to use some of the questions that you presented in this space in your forums to elect you next time. Thank you.
Any other public comment? All right, if there's no other public comment, then is there a motion to adjourn the calendar meeting?
Mark, I have a question.
Yep. Go ahead, Dr. Ken.
So I just want to say for the record, and I wanted to just be on record. My questions and asking was to get a better understanding of who the candidate is. On this council, we have always asked a lot of questions, and we've always asked some intense questions and some not. For me, I don't know the candidate, so my questioning, I don't know about anyone else, was regarding trying to understand who he was and how he would fit in what we do. And as a council member, I have a right to ask those questions. So I understand why some people in the public may feel uncomfortable. I want to be clear. My abstention was because I don't have enough information. And I'm choosing to give an answer for my comment and why I abstained because I didn't have enough information and I chose to use my vote in a more wiser way. So unfortunately, I didn't say no. And I think Mr. Diaz made a lot of great points. But for me, as a council member, there was other information I needed and it didn't show up for me. And so I chose to abstain. So I'm just making my choice. No one else has to do that. But I want to be clear on why I chose to do what I did.
Okay, thank you. Stephanie, you have your hands raised. Please go ahead.
Yes, hi. As public guest as well, I am very saddened of the vote for tonight. I'm I'm CCD 75 council for District 75. And I've known the work that Mr. Diaz has done and all the platforms that he has been in. So I am sorry that some of you all don't know him or know the work that he's done and needed your questions more thoroughly answered in order for your vote to be a difference. But I thank you for giving him the space to be heard and to be able to apply. That way he could be able to succeed in other platforms with us as parent leaders. And I have one question. Is there are applicants able to reapply if a vacancy is not fulfilled?
Absolutely. Anybody who is eligible can apply. And in this case, eligibility means the student in D75, a family, a parent or guardian with a student in District 75 is eligible to run. So yeah, absolutely. Anyone can apply. Anybody
I
can
hear you,
apply.
Mark. I hear you, Mark, on saying the apply, but I wanted to know specifically if a candidate is able to reapply if a vacancy
Absolutely. Yes.
filled. Okay.
Yes.
Is there a timeline on that?
Rose will be sending out the candidate application again this week.
No, I meant if there's a time.
In terms, he can apply as soon as Rose sends the note out, or if he or anyone else wants to go to the FACE website right now, they can go.
Okay.
There
Thank you
is
so
no
much for
limit,
all of that.
and we will accept applications. When we have applications that are vetted through FACE, then we will bring it forthwith to the council. Thank you. Maggie and then Rima. Oh,
No, sorry, no, Rima, please go.
Rima, go ahead. Sorry.
I just wanted to ask if it was okay for us to send you the district vacancies that we have so that we can work together to try to fill the D75 vacancies, because you have like citywide on your mailing list too. Like I only have D75, and sometimes we have parents that we don't have an email for in D75, but they are on your mailing list because they might have a sibling that has an IEP and they're just good here. So if we can just share that, because I think we're up to 10 right now. We have 3 in Manhattan, 3 in the Bronx, 3 in Brooklyn, and 3 in Queens. Thanks.
So that's 3 in Manhattan, 3 in the Bronx, 3 in Brooklyn.
I'm lying. It's
and 3 in Queens.
It's 2233. It's District 3, District 5, District 7, District 9. And then I don't remember Brooklyn. I'll get the flyer, but those are the ones I would like, because we just talked about it in our meeting. I think it's
Okay.
25, 26, and 27 in Queens. I know it's 32 in Brooklyn. I think it's 14 and 15, but I'll double check. I feel good about 14 and 15. It is. It's 14 and 15 because it's Camille and Taj's old CCs. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Rima. I appreciate that and appreciate you sharing that info with us. All right. Joanne.
Good evening, everyone. I have been with CEC for some time before I came to Citywide. And it was just some questions that was asked of him that he did not answer. I'm not sure if he was nervous or not, but when Dr. Sanaya asked him, does he understand the role he's stepping into? That's where I got puzzled at. I wasn't questioning his advocacy or anything. It's just that in my last district, for the last 2 years or so, we had some CEC members that was overwhelmed. They didn't know what they was getting into, and it was a lot. And this role and what he might been stepping into and being a D75 rep might not have been a little, even though he's a sergeant in the army, I want to make sure I'm saying the right military, but I wanted to make sure he understood what he was going to be signing up for in the army. Yes, a retired sergeant in the army. And sometimes some of the members who actually got elected for certain roles, they did not know what they was getting they self signed up for. And some of them did not last a good 6 months. Some of them didn't even last 60 days. So that was my only thing. And that's why I hesitate. And that's why I asked Rose to come back to me. And that was one of the reasons why I abstained, because that was really my thing, because I always want to make sure that a candidate that's coming into one of these roles, especially with CEC, CCSE, citywide or anything, or D75 citywide, they understand what these roles entail. And sometimes these roles can be 24/7, and these roles are 365 days of the year when you sign up for 2 years and you don't get the summer off. And sometimes these parents don't realize that once they sign up, because we had some parents thought they got the summer off. And we had to say, we have business meetings in July and August, and they didn't even know that. And they had a family trips planned, and they didn't know. So that was one of the things. So I just wanted that to be known and go on record. And hopefully that gave you a little clarity, Rima, for my vote and some of the thinking of some of the members.
I wouldn't mind saying something. I think it's important. I know that it seems odd, I guess, to have to feel the need to explain a vote when we're voting publicly and there's complete transparency and everyone is making their own decision. I don't think that's something that should necessarily be questioned. But I will tell you, because now that it has been mentioned, the process we went through as parents, signing up for position and being candidates and going through candidate nights, I know that our time was limited to 1 minute, 60 seconds, 90 seconds. Sometimes you had 2 minutes at most to speak. And here I would say that with the CCSE, we've actually provided our candidates a longer period of time to be able to process the questions, answer the questions without feeling rushed, giving people time to be able to express themselves clearly. So I don't believe that there was anything that was done unfairly when people are given that time where when running for an election for the CCSE position, time was limited. So I would still commend the council for being gracious with time, knowing the amount of information we have on our calendar meeting agenda and our business meeting agenda. So I do commend the council.
Okay, thanks, Mark. Thanks, Council. Where to begin? Okay, so first, I want to speak on my vote. I think that everybody has their own vote. I do think that in the past, if you can see the recordings, they're on our website. We have asked similar questions, particularly about how a candidate deals with conflict. The question that Dr. Sanai asked about, do you know what the role is? And also just, what would you bring to the table for the council? So we have asked those questions in the past. Maybe the wording might have been a little bit different. There were, for full transparency, additional questions. We and I guess the different formatting was because we had one candidate and we had a little bit more time for questions and answers. In the past, we've had multiple candidates in one round, and so we've had to limit the amount of time. I do think that this council may have lost an opportunity because I did see the passion in the candidate. I did see the profile of the candidate. I did see the qualities that we are looking for in that position, especially when it comes to District 75. Being a District 75 parent, let's just be 100% clear about this. It's not easy, okay? You don't even have to go that far. You could just look at the composition and the parents that are in the CCD 75 right now, and all of the District 75 representatives from 1 to 32 districts. And you can ask them, hey, how is it? How's the system working for you? Or what's your child's experience? Or what's your experience as a parent? Leader, as a parent advocate, as just a simple parent. And you will hear from them the passion. and the frustration at times. And so we had an opportunity here of a District 75 parent that is passionate, that is experienced. And I believe that we may have lost an opportunity. This is my vote and my opinion only. I voted yes for those reasons. I would ask respectfully that the council consider all of that and just consider the fact that maybe yes, if somebody, is not able to answer the exact way that we would have hoped, but just look at the whole context. I mean, look at the profile, look at the experience, and this is not just for him, this is just an example, but just for the next candidate, like look at the entirety of the person and weigh it all. And I know you all did that tonight. And that's why you had some concerns and you had some questions and you had some, but honestly, again, being a District 75 parent is not easy. And that needs to be included in your decision making because we have had this vacancy for how long, Mark? Do you know? 120 days or more. And yes, he was the only one, but he was the only one that was that was vetted and that was passed, and through phase, that was cleared through phase. And so we've been sending over and over the vacancy for District 75 parent. It's not easy to get applicants. Thank you, Rima, for what you said about, bringing, we do need that. We were trying to get clarity on the process, of how it goes, but yes, please, any and all candidates for this position. We desperately need it. Go ahead, Francesca.
I just want to say something to the ladies that were on there after the vote happened, that it was just really nice for you to speak out for Lewis and just to let us know like how he has been helpful and all that. And it just was really, really nice to hear that.
All right, is there anyone else who wants to speak? I mean, we're still in public comment. I mean, I think we voted down a good, qualified, quality candidate tonight. I think Sergeant Diaz would have brought a lot to the table and given us a unique D75 perspective that is very important. We need a candidate who's passionate. We need a candidate who is willing to speak up for those that can't speak. We need a candidate who's willing to advocate for individuals and yet ultimately our role to advocate for policy. And I think that was a candidate, and he is a person who has done that. He's demonstrated it for ages at PEP meetings and other meetings where the chancellor is at. And I think he would have been a very good addition to this group. That being said, the council voted how they voted. We will move forward.
I have a question. I can't raise my hand, so just tell me when I can speak. I want to
Dr. Canton, you're on. Can you mute yourself?
Yeah, I'm just telling you I can't raise my hand from my phone, but I would like
Okay,
to.
as soon as I'm done, I'll get you.
Thank you.
Rose will send out a application to our mailing list this week. So we'll start that process. We'll have it mailed out every week. And when we get to the council meeting, we'll see the next council meeting in January. We'll see if there are any vetted and approved candidates that are brought forthwith. Because we do desperately need another member of D75 to be able to advocate for our families and to give us that word and that voice that's missing for so many, and to advocate on what policies the DOE needs to change. We have a interim D75 superintendent. Dr. McCoy is amazing. And, we certainly want to be able to support her and all the schools and students every way we can, but we definitely need to get a member on board who is willing to fight for what's right for our students. All right, Dr. Canton, you had something?
I have a question. Uh, is there a way, I know Robert Rules of Order, can a motion be made to bring back the candidate because some people abstained, which didn't give a yes or no vote? So they kind of just took themselves out. Also, there are members who are absent. Um, so is there a way that we can possibly bring this candidate back because some of us couldn't physically be there for other issues or was excused. And so there may have been other members who may have wanted to be a part of the vote since we're in such a desperate need for a candidate and there are not many candidates coming up. Is there a way that we can vote again? I know that in Robert Rules of Order, they do allow you to re-vote on things, but I'm just asking. I don't know if Face is there. We can still put the thing out for other candidates, but since we still have to, and so many of us abstained, is there a possibility that we can vote again if it's next month or another time, or can you find that out?
We can certainly vote next month. Are you asking to vote again tonight? It would be a new motion, but I need to double check if we're allowed to do that with a new motion. We don't have.
January.
Yeah, if
Okay,
anybody applies in January and they are vetted in time, they will be brought forth. But so we have already voted, so we cannot bring back in January unless any candidate applies or reapplies. If Sergeant Diaz wishes to apply again when Rose puts it out, or he goes online tonight, absolutely. If he passes through Face, which presumably he would because he already did, then yes, he would be up for vote at the next meeting. Just like any other candidate that's accepted from Face would be brought forthwith. So yeah, it's a vacancy as of right now. And so anyone who applies who's vetted and approved by Face and would be there.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we have a motion to adjourn the calendar meeting. We have a motion. Is there a second?
Motion is second.
Okay, second. All in favor? Opposed, abstain? Okay, we are done with the calendar meeting. Do we need a break or you want to move right to the business meeting? All right, we'll call the business meeting to order. Rose, we need to do, I'm sorry, roll call, please. One more time for roll call. Who is it?
Francesco? Here. Dr. Sanat?
Here.
Glenn Cumming? Here. Mark Gonzalez?
Present.
Ying Ron?
Here.
Maggie Sanchez?
Here.
Susie Wong Benjamin?
Present.
Irene?
Here.
All right, so first thing is CCHS update. I'm not sure if she's still on. I do not see her on, so we'll go to Face update, which is also, so now we're on the committee reports. Annual report, Heather and Melissa are both out, so probably don't have that. Ron, do you want to talk about the busing and transportation? You've got a survey going on right now.
Yeah, but Heather is not here today, so we are not going to talk about the survey. We are ongoing.
Is the survey closed or is it still open?
It's still open.
Okay. All right. So, and I know Rose sent out an email with the survey. When is the date it's going to close? Or are we leaving it open for a little bit longer? Should we have Rose send out another another sweep of that to the community, or are we ready to close it?
I didn't hear anything that Heather or I mentioned about the time frame of the votes, but we just want to get as much as a response from the parents. But now we just push out the survey for about a week. So we still try to spreading widely and to reach out to different group of parents that they notice such survey in place and try to get their response as much as we can.
Okay, thank you, Ron. All right, Communications Committee.
Joanne, do you want to talk about the district? No, you start. Okay. Okay, I'll start and then you go. Yes, Joanne and I are co-chairs of the communications, the outreach and communications committee, and so we have been working on internal and external communications, and we have worked really hard to make sure that they run smoothly. So the website, again, I mentioned the website. The website is up and running. We still have some fixes and glitches, but the recordings should be there. The photos, the members, and all that. So we will keep updating the website. And then we are also, I'll pass it on to Joanne so she can speak to the rest of it. Go ahead, John.
Hi, everyone. So we did a little bridge off from the community communication, and we started a subcommittee where we're doing a virtual talk, town hall, where we are reaching out to the district leaders for the district of the IEP members and the D75 members of the CEC, where our goal is to reach out to them to see exactly how can CCSE be assistance to them, see what's going on, what can we do to be supportive to them, what's going on in the district that they need assistance with. Are the parents having issues with busing? If so, let's connect them with the busing committee. Is it something else that they need assistance with? IEP, let's get them in contact with a parent member, or so on and so forth. We want to see what we are able to do. If it's something that CCSE can't do in-house, we will connect them to whoever we need to connect them to, if it's someone in Dow or whatever group, or if it's something we need to do internal and bring them back the answer that they need. So we want to have a monthly talk with the representatives and see how we can best beneficial and benefit them, because at the end of the day, CCSE is here to help the districts and the other CECs with anything, could be from policies to a whole list of other things. But this is what we are here for citywide. And this is just not for just the 32 districts. This is also for parochial, charter, everyone. And this is what we are here for. I proposed to the council, not sure if you had gotten a chance to read the email, but it is not mandatory, it is volunteer, that we can adopt a district, attend their virtual or in-person CEC meeting, get to know them. Let's hear what's going on. Let's see what we could do to help them so that they could put a face with a name. So when they do come to the meeting, they feel comfortable enough to talk to us for them, so we could be able to help them. I'm in the process of putting together a list with the different CEC meetings, and I'm gonna get it together. And if you're interested, once I have it together, I will have the different CEC's meetings so you can look at them and see, and you see what works for you, virtual or in person. The only thing I'm asking is, yes, it's okay to pick the one you feel comfortable with, the one you know. Yes, we like the idea of having, yes, that one that you're real comfortable with, but let's also pick one that we may not be comfortable with, because that may be the one that no one comes to the meeting. That's no one look, reach out to them, and and they're not getting that real attraction. So we want everybody to feel welcome, but we could always discuss that down the line. So please feel welcome to CC me, reach out to me on the email, and we could discuss it, and we could take it from there. So you could do one or two, whatever you feel comfortable with. But if we could all take one, two, whatever you feel comfortable with, but we could talk about it, okay? So that's my proposal. But at the end of the day, please do not feel pressure. It is volunteer, but this is just something that we can start with, and I feel that we can start bridging the gap and just start doing the work that way. And this will also be a great segue also, because the other day we did have a meeting with Dow, and we did talk a little bit about, I just went blank for a second, I'm sorry, the transition from early intervention into preschool, and it is a lot going on, but we are working on some things. So we want to open the lines of communication with preschools and let them know that they have some things in place. They are looking to hire more speech therapists. They are looking to hire more other workers to help in that area. They actually have, I think January 9th or something, they have a hiring fair for speech and something else they're looking to hire. If y'all didn't see the hiring post, I can share it with you guys. And maybe I can share it on your social media, or if y'all know a posting or whatever. But they are, I think Suzanne Sanchez, if I'm not mistaken, she will be conducting the hiring. Um, but they have a lot of things in place that they are looking to do, and a couple things they are looking to have take place for early preschool. And also, if you have any families that said that they're having problems with the IEP process with the crossover, if the family signed the waiver, early intervention can release the records to the CPSE team, and the parents can also give a copy of the records to them as well. And we could discuss that more in details, but I know we're running a little behind on time, but I just wanted to bring that also to the table. And this is something also we can work on with this communication team as well.
Thank you. Next up is Health and Wellness, Susie.
Yes, our Health and Wellness Committee that is forming and will launch in 2026. Oh my goodness, just to say that year is something. So we're preparing for something great to offer many of our families, many parents that are definitely going through a lot of stress. Some people are facing holiday blues. And of course, as Joanne would say, burnout. So there are so many things that need to come into play for parents that need to have some self care. Mental health and wellness is a serious issue, and this is very much a lonely journey, but it is by choice. So, what we want to do is we want to be able to offer a great program to get our parents physically moving, and also something to offer to the children so they get little brain breaks and little movements to help progress with their skills, and all of that is very important in order to really reach some of those goals. And when a parent is distressed, a child feels that energy too. And even if that child is not speaking, they're nonverbal, that impacts them greatly. So if we can kind of take care of everyone on a whole and taking care of our bodies, physically, nutrition wise. So we're going to be bringing in a few people onto the committee and helping us. And I'm very proud to be working along with Joanne. She's just a fireball, and that's what we could all use to help improve our metabolism. So I thank you.
And I'm gonna be putting together some information about dealing with burnout, as a parent with, special needs, and just as a parent in general. You don't even have to be a special needs parent, just being a parent, period, dealing with burnout.
Okay, thank you. Next up and last is the Legislative Committee. So a few things with the Legislative Committee. We have our next meeting on Monday, January 5th at 7 p.m. There's a whole bunch on the plate for that. We're going to have, looks like 6 resolutions that we will review. At that point, Legislative Committee may bring some or all or more forward to the January CCSE calendar meeting. So just a heads up, there may be a lot of resolutions at the January meeting. Right now, there's 6 or 7 that are going to be brought to that meeting at least. They deal with budget at state level, city level. They deal with state law changes that we need. They deal with dyslexia programs and other reading difficulties. It deals with autism programs. We got AI in there. We've got the professional status change that's in federal law that is going to really hurt our students with disabilities as it's no longer a professional degree to be a special education teacher or a teacher or a audiologist, a PT, OT, speech. It's no longer a professional degree, and that will impact the number of people who can afford to go into that role. And that's going to be devastating to our community. So we've got those out there, and we'll see what else bubbles up between now and then. The other thing is the state legislature finally put out the calendar for the 2026 legislative year. As a result, we want to pin down the date for the um, legislative breakfast because we wanted to wait till we knew when our state members would be available and not stuck in session. And we also don't have the calendar yet for city council, but we're gonna have to move forward. It's only across the park, so they can come over pretty easily. We'll also be working on the date, location, and we're gonna need a budget to do it. So we're gonna try to work up the budget so we can beg and plead from all of you to readjust our budget at the January meeting. So that's where we're at with the legislative committee. All right, next up is Go ahead, Maggie.
So Joanne, sorry, I forgot about our meeting conflict. Again, so sorry for everyone out there. We had a scheduling conflict yesterday, and our committee was scheduled to meet, had to cancel at the last minute. So in order to avoid that, we actually our meetings are conflicting with PEP, and like PEP is critical and important, and so we're gonna move the dates on the communications committee meetings. Yep, thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, next up, we have the co-president's report. Maggie, you want to go first? You want me to go?
Well, I have a long list, but I can definitely add the list and just compile it and send that out. So first, Mark and I we usually as co-presidents have monthly meetings with the chancellor, and we also have monthly meetings with the special education office. And I've attended as well the AI forum. So that's AI EdTech, talking about things having to do with the AI and within classrooms and the risks and the, you know, the good and the bad, but mostly the concerns that 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 are that yeah, parents and teachers and students have around generative AI and the works. I also attended an education budget teach-in. Now, these these items that I'm mentioning, a lot of them are on our website, and we have shared that out before to council members, and just the public. So again, the education budget teach-in, and there was also the Disability Rights Education and Defense Fund. I will add those links to the website about that. That's DREDF. They're a good resource. Look into them. Again, I'm gonna add that in the chat. But they did the webinar regarding IEP meetings, evals, and assessment reports. So yeah, that's what we have. And yeah, that we're in the communications committee, we're trying to find a way to kind of streamline that a little bit for council members, like have a better process for sharing all those meetings out. Thank you.
So you said you was in the chancellor meeting this month. So did they give you anything you bringing back to the table for us? It's
Yeah.
basically that's the
Yeah.
report. You're supposed to
Yep.
be bringing us back info.
Yep. So basically, what was discussed was that the chancellor is being considered, right, for to stay, but we don't know what the new administration is going to do. So we're gonna have to wait until January. We asked the council for questions. We didn't receive any, so I asked about AI. There was a lot of questions from others around AI specifically, only because of the data privacy and student privacy and just safeguarding the student data. So the responses around that were not, at least to my thinking, were not satisfactory. But we are still advocating and we're still asking those pertinent questions. D210 was also mentioned. And that is a tricky one. As you know, yesterday at the PEP, the updated version of D210 was passed. So yeah.
But now, this is where it's gonna get a little tricky now. So the chancellor's meeting, I'm not sure when, and then this went in front of the PEP yesterday. So this information is this information is coming to us after the PEP. Like if this information could have been given to us pre-PEP, it could have helped us prepare for the PrEP meeting if we wanted to go to the PEP or write something, because Face and Different has sent out information if we have questions or wanted to say anything in regards to the D210 and questions to it. So if information was given to you guys about it that wasn't shared prior to the PEP voting on it.
I have to double check, but from what I remember, and I'm gonna look at my email, but I think that the CCEC info sent out something around D210. If not, I'll triple check, but I mean, there have been communications that have been sent out through that way. I do understand that, I understand what you're saying, that it has to be more streamlined. And I think that's something that we have to get better at, and we will. The issue is that I just have to be truly honest. As like Mark and I, we're swamped a lot of the time, and that's not anyone's fault or anything. We're in this position. We are accountable. Also, the the PEP meetings are public. The PEP goes and everything is on the website. They have all the resolutions, all the contracts, everything there. To remind you guys, the PEP is coming up. I don't, I mean, I can.
That the share the information that was given at the meeting you was at regarding the chancellor gave you about the rereads and explaining the purpose, why it's changing or this or whatever it is. That wasn't shared with us, the information that was given to you guys. And then the PEP came up yesterday. And now
The
you're telling
D210
us.
and the chancellor's meeting were completely separate. That was not part of the chancellor, and I'm sorry that I wasn't clear. I'm sorry that it got misconstrued. I mentioned the monthly meeting with the chancellor, and I mentioned the D210 was brought up at another meeting. I think that, we with D210, it comes down to legalities because we can't really, at that moment, we couldn't really discuss much. So the chancellor was not part of the discussions with D210.
Coach, you couldn't discuss much.
There was a lawsuit.
Yeah, that we
That
all know
was filed.
about. That's no hidden secret.
Yeah, and the litigants were part of that meeting, so we couldn't really discuss much on it.
But there was nothing in the chance.
He knows that.
Yeah.
So, okay,
There,
so
go ahead, John.
this is the issue. Y'all said at last meeting, Mark is going to meetings and not telling us nothing. Now, y'all going to meetings and it's getting confusing. So y'all supposed to be giving co-president's report, but it's not reports. You're just telling us the meetings you're going to, but it's like you're not telling us what's being told at the meetings. It's like we have to pull it out of you guys. But now you're telling us you couldn't share the information. It's no hidden secret that it's a lawsuit. Everyone knows within the city of New York, it's a lawsuit. The PEP even said it last night. It was a lawsuit. Other people knows it's a lawsuit. That's not the hidden secret.
There was nothing secret in the chancellor's meeting. So here's my question. What would you like? I can provide a transcript, but you're asking about timing. So
As a council, we should not have to ask these questions.
I have a question again, but I'll wait till.
I haven't had a chance to give my part of the co-president's report, so maybe that'll help clear things up. So Maggie got to do hers, and then there was an interruption before I was able to give mine. If you want me to give mine, that may clear things up. If not, that's fine. But Joanne, the question you had is, you said there was a timing issue about we need to give you the information before PEP, which means we need to give the information, and that's fine, before this meeting. So I need help from the council on what you would like. Is it a transcript? Is it a executive summary? What would you like and when would you like it? And I'm just trying.
Okay, if y'all know it's a meeting coming up and this information is gonna be discussed at the PEP, that's something y'all have to let us know, because we don't know the meeting y'all going to. Y'all the only ones that know the valuable information. And when it's gonna be, we didn't know y'all was gonna go to a D210 meeting. We didn't have that.
What, I didn't go to a D210 meeting. I'm not aware of a D210 meeting. There was a question during the chancellor's Q&A about D210, but it was nothing special, nothing interesting from it's nothing that we hadn't heard before. Basically, there was a person who asked, why are we changing D210? So because ultimately the person who was questioning the chancellor, why are we changing D210, wanted D210 to be enforced as is. And as you're aware, D210 up to yesterday had not been enforced since the lawsuit. And the person who asked the question of the chancellor was concerned that we're going to change the ruling, which happened last night, or the D210, which happened last night at PEP. But the person was concerned and voiced their opinion to the chancellor. And that's basically what there was with that question. There was nothing secret or special about the question. It's been voiced by many advocates. And the chancellor's response was basically it's because of a legal issue, which is the federal judge's ruling that says freedom of speech was infringed upon by the Department of Education and the chancellor. That was effectively the Q and the A from that. There were probably 5 or 6 questions that were asked about AI. And a lot of that was because, well, I assume a lot of it spurred from the prior PEP meeting in November when the PEP turned down the 4 contracts on AI. And there was a lot of questions about who are the companies, right? Who are the providers? What is it being used for? What is happening with student data privacy? So who are the companies? The chancellor said she is surveying schools. She was supposed to have the data by mid-December. We're obviously past mid-December at this point, or on the later half of December, so she is late. What is it being used for? And that answer was effectively, it's being used student-facing, but primarily right now it is more for teacher benefit. That got into a question about privacy and students' information being used, i.e., using an IEP, uploading it to generate a new IEP, right? And the gist was that's not happening from the chancellor, that they're not uploading IEPs to the system. That being said, if you read the news, there's been stories in Chalkbeat and other places where around the country there are teachers that are uploading IEPs, the right IEPs. So maybe it's not happening in the city, maybe it is, but that was certainly feedback to the chancellor. And then it was just playing the data privacy as well. And then the last question I recall on AI had to do with I'll call it the cognitive ability. I can't remember the exact phrasing, but it was basically that when students use AI, their cognitive skills decline. And the chancellor acknowledged that and said, effectively, we've still got to teach them to use AI, how to use AI, because when they leave our schools, they're going to have to use AI. And she's right. I mean, the reality is the moment they graduate in June, as a senior, they're going to be exposed to a world, and in the world there is AI. And quite a few of the jobs that they're going to be going into require AI usage. There were a couple issues for the chancellor. The chancellor was late to the meeting because something came up and she had to cut off. And so I had a question I was not able to ask, which is about fair student funding. So I put it in the chat. They said they would get back to us on fair student funding. And the reason I put fair student funding is because, as you all know, the fair student funding working group had recommended in their initial report that there should be additional weights for students with disabilities. And Chancellor Banks decided he did not want to fund additional money for students with disabilities, so we have this breakage problem. And the breakage is ultimately the money doesn't work. And so and with that, we have other issues that happen with fair student funding because of that, but the breakage is one of the major challenges. So that was the question I put in the chat box, and I was told that they were going to get back. That was the chancellor's meeting. Um, there was nothing, but I'll get back to the point of how should we disseminate this to the council? I have no problem sending a transcript. I have no problem sending an executive summary. I would prefer not to honestly have to write up every question, write every answer. I just rather just do the transcript at that point. But what would be beneficial and helpful and appropriate from a council
Mark, I
perspective?
have my hand raised, so
I'm sorry. Go
I
ahead.
want to comment to that when you get to me.
Okay. Oh, I see the hands working. Um, so, but before, if I can just finish up for mine. Um, the other thing that happened is the ECC contacted Maggie and myself regarding the succession of the chancellor. So this is the challenge that we've had over the years, and we've all experienced it being in the city, is when you have a new mayor brings in a new chancellor, it happens usually January 1. There is a lot of disruption in the school year when that happens. And part of the challenge with the disruption is school budgets start up in, I'll call it December. When a new chancellor comes in, all of a sudden you got to redo all the budgeting you're doing for the new school year because, mind you, the new school year starts July 1. And so the budgeting's already going when there's a big change, and that causes a lot of disruptions. And the call from the ECC, which Maggie and I signed on as individuals, was that we asked that the chancellor stay on until June 30th. While that's happening, have an open and public forum to discuss who the new chancellor should be, what we need in a new chancellor, and to be it public and not behind closed doors. The mayor-elect has been very clear that he does not believe in mayoral control, and so we felt this was a way to make sure that he lives up to his word and lets the public have input in who the next chancellor should be. Let the public have input in what's important for our students, and not just have a closed door, poof, there's a new mayor choice. But we wanted to make sure that, first the continuity to the end of the school year, and then have an open and, me personally, I don't care if the chancellor is on July 1st. Or if it's another candidate, if there's another candidate that's better than the chancellor, I want the other candidates better. But if the current chancellor is better, I want her. But an open forum is what I was looking for. I think it's in the best interest of our schools or our students to have it open and have the community input. And I think it's important that we have continuity for this school year, so we just don't have the chaos and disruption which has happened in years past when we've had new chancellors start on January 1. So Maggie and I both signed on. We were asked to keep it quiet as soon as we were allowed to. We did share that with you all. And I wish we were able to talk beforehand, but we were told, you're doing it as individuals. It's not as CCSE members. It's as individuals. And they asked for our confidence that we would keep it quiet until they released the information. And so I just wanted to give you that. And that was the other thing that happened this month. So that is all I have. Dr. Canton, you had your hand raised. Go ahead.
Yes, I did. So just a suggestion. I also got information about that request from ECC as a member of ECC. So I did hear about that too. One of the things that I propose as leaders of this council, I heard Maggie say earlier that a lot of times you and Mark are very swamped. The purpose of a council is to delegate. If there are additional meetings and things that are happening, the only way members on the council are going to get enough experience to understand what this council does, and it's a lot that we have to do at times. I think learning to share some of those meetings, you can send other council members as representation for you as the presidents if you can't go to certain meetings. You don't have to go to every meeting. It is now we have practically a full council. I think it's important to utilize individuals if they're interested and being an assistance, but whoever goes to whatever meetings that pertains to this council should share that information. And if it's pertinent information that you think could help us, a summary email, that's my suggestion. Just saying, I went to this meeting, this is what happened. If you didn't hear about it, just want to make you aware. I'm going to give it in my report at a later time. No one wants to have, we all have private lives, we all have jobs and other things we have to do. This is a volunteer position, so it's unrealistic to put that kind of pressure, I think, on either one of you, but it can appear as though a lot of the things that are happening are being held. And that's the way it was presented at the previous meeting, that one or two persons are going to everything and we don't know what's happening as a council. But I just think in terms of transparency and also to build continuity and teamwork among this council, and restore some trust in each other, I think it's important that if you have a lot of things to do, finding members to delegate, if people are interested in being a part. I often have stood, I have stood on the fringes for my own personal reasons. But as a member of this council, I don't have an issue of helping out when I'm asked. I will not volunteer for a lot of things because I've been doing this a long time and I just really see my role on the council a bit different from other people's. But I think a suggestion to this council, the leaders of this council, is it can appear as though when you give your report, you're just telling me where you went, but you didn't tell me what happened when you went there. So maybe sharing a little more about the details like you just did is very helpful. And coming up with any suggestions, like after you've left that meeting, what do you suggest we do as a council to better support whatever the initiative was or wasn't? Some of the members here are new. They've never sat on a council. They don't know what they should be a part of or not. But as senior people or people with institutional knowledge, I think it's important as leaders that we give people an opportunity to rise to that seat that they sit in for this citywide, because it is a lot of work. But more importantly, that we as leaders give access, because I do at times feel like we can be perceived and experienced very cliquish. If you're not in the group, if you're not a part of what's happening, you don't get the information. But I know each of you, and I know that that's never the intent. So I think we have to do better as a council, me included, and stepping up, but the opportunities have to be presented. We also are very much aware that FACE chooses who they want to interact with. And that's strategically done and has been that way for years. People who are more vocal, people who are going to hold them accountable, they tend to sway away from. And so I just want us to be mindful as a council that we don't want to get caught up in that we're here to serve our families. Yes, we're here to be partners with them, but at the center of the work is always the children we are here to advocate for. So my suggestion maybe is writing up a summary or share it in real time. You send all these emails out, send an email out about that information before the meeting so that we can just come and feel like we're not hearing things for the first time. That might be helpful and bring more transparency. That's just my suggestion.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it. All right.
I had my hand up too. I wanna just again apologize for that confusion earlier. There was a D210 meeting that presidents attended. And I don't think, I think that was one that Mark wasn't able to attend. I attended, and there was little to no discussion at that meeting because of the legalities of it, of the lawsuit and the litigants that were there in the room. So it was basically just the voicing the concern around that. I did not ask a question. I did not, speak at the meeting. I just listened, and it was a very brief meeting. There was not a lot to talk about. But then separately, in the monthly meetings with the chancellor, so to backtrack, again, the D210 meeting was not, the chancellor was not there. And in the monthly meetings with the chancellor, the D210 subject did come up by members that were there. And so I personally struggle with putting all of that together. You can call it an executive functioning struggle, but I myself, when you're asking me to put something on a summary, I was working in within the communications committee meeting last meeting to try to find a way to streamline it, make it more accessible, make it more easier, not just for everybody, because you all have to give the member reports as well, but also for me. So that's, I'm holding myself accountable on my own struggles and how to do that in real time when I have back-to-back meetings and when I'm a single parent dealing with a teenager and I'm all by myself. So that's on me. I'm just being completely transparent here. Uh, It's something that I do need to get better at. And that is why we, at the communications committee with Joanne, we were trying to work on that, how to make internal communications and external communications more fluent, having to utilize the website, having to use our council email, having to use ourselves to, for example, for the annual report, just as a clear example, how to streamline that process better for all of us. So the last term, we didn't have an annual report. We were violating the law, basically. And this term, what we wanted to do, Heather's idea actually, was to make the process much easier. So we didn't have to go and do the whole thing at once, but actually do it month to month with the topics that and the issues that have been brought up here in this space. And that is part of communications, and that's part of the outreach. What have we been hearing from the other districts? So when I signed up for this position, when I ran as a slate, I expressed that I will hold myself accountable and I aim to be transparent with the council. I'm not about gatekeeping. I am not about having, side conversations or, like you said, Dr. Sinai, clicks. That's not me. I personally don't like that. And I want to be able to loop in the council as much as I can because it's not just us, both of us, is the entire council. I do want to highlight one thing though. If you guys are asking us to loop you in, please give us your feedback. Please send in your questions because we have been trying and we have sent questions. We have actually asked you to send us your questions and we have not received any. And so we have special education office, OPT, asking us, where are your questions? And so we end up just having to submit our own.
Skip questions every time you ask questions. Sometimes we may not have questions.
But a response back would be helpful. Like we asked, is there anything for us to ask the chancellor? We didn't get any emails back. We asked, is there anything for this meeting? Did not get any feedback back. It goes both ways. We need flow from council members. We need flow from each member. And Joanne, you mentioned before, right? You put an email out and you didn't get any feedback. Right? You called it out. It's the same thing. We all as council members have got to be a little more engaged than we are, or just a quick yes, no, would be great.
I'm trying to figure out this council because let me give you a good example. Rose put out an email yesterday or the day before. I emailed Rose back and said, okay, I'm going to see you there in person. Rose said, no, I only put that email out for anyone who was logging on with their computer. I was like, I was just letting you know I'm gonna be there in person. So it's like, I didn't know if I was not supposed to answer her or not. I just said I was just answering. So I said, you know what? I'm not gonna answer because I didn't have nothing to say. So that's why I didn't answer. Didn't I go say that to you? I would just answer you just to say, out of respect, I'm gonna be there in person. So now that I know, y'all just want me to say, no, I have no question. I will email you back to let you know I read that email and say, no, I have no question. I have no problem doing that, but I'm just saying, I just don't know when to answer, when not to answer, you know?
I think that's the good part of this discussion, right? It's how do we engage with each other in a productive way where we're all being helpful and not a hindrance, and we're all communicating in a way that's beneficial to all and move forward. And I've heard a lot tonight, and I appreciate it, and got plenty of notes, and I will do better, and appreciate all your help.
Just as a reminder, folks, we do have a drive. We do have a shared drive. We need to use it. Now, there is a trick to it. Heather was gracious enough to do some tutorial videos that we will be sharing out and around how to move around it, how to maneuver it, because we also, within the communications and outreach committee, have to keep in mind that our website legally has to have the minutes, has to have the recordings, has to be updated. And if we don't, we're violating the law. So that's where the shared drive comes in, because the shared drive, it's more, yeah, it's easier. You go in, you put in your document or whatever else, and you upload it. So, but that's something that communications and Rose, we're working on how to do that better, because I myself don't really know much about the drive, how to upload it, how to do all of that. I had trouble with the upload of the videos because we do also have a YouTube channel ourselves, our council. So we're uploading the videos there too for the public to see. So, but we do need all hands on deck. And I hear you about delegating the meetings to members, and also just, yeah, like you said, just sharing. But how do you streamline that? Because what I wanted to do, my idea was, and how Heather had the idea of doing the annual report was having a form within because we could do this by email and just having that, like putting up a shared doc within the shared drive, and just being able to have input that way, so we're not getting like thousands of emails back and forth. There has to be a better way, in a more accessible way, that we could do it, and that we could for all of us to have access. But the shared drive is there for everyone to use. But we just need your feedback and input, and just to participate a little bit more, like with that, like with the work, and just with the questions. Just let us know your questions. We want the special education office, we want the chancellor to hear your questions. I'm sure you have. I'm sure you have questions.
Do we have any member report? I'm sorry, we'll get info out on the shared drive to everybody. All right, any member reports? I'm sorry, Susie?
Did we do a review of the meeting minutes already?
I have
Oh,
a
yeah,
member
no, we missed
report.
that. No, so we'll finish up member reports, then we'll go back to approval of minutes. Thank you, Susie. I totally missed that. My bad. Thank you.
I have a member report.
Go ahead, Dr. Canton.
Um, I, on the 23rd of December, will participate in a focus group with the chancellor around early childhood education, from the perspective of community-based programs. And she was looking for feedback on just how the community-based programs like the one I run work, how is the relationship with Department of Ed, with some of the changes that they made and things that are happening. So it's kind of a forum which was I was selected through Daycare Council to be a part. I don't have a problem sharing information. As you all know, I'm very passionate about special ed services and the lack of continuity for children in early child care programs across the city that are funded by DOE. So a part of my conversation will really be talking about how can the state and DOE work better with community-based organizations to get the services in the building versus allowing kids to just have an IEP with no services until they get to a public school. And so if there are any other ideas or things people would like me to speak about, you're welcome to email me. It is not until the 23rd of December, but that is coming up. I'm working on a national project with National Action Network around the banning of books in our schools. While here in New York City, we do have a robust culturally responsive curriculum. There are other states that don't. And so I've been speaking with leaders around the country that are a part of chapters at NAN, just talking about better ways they can advocate to actually bring a culturally responsive curriculum to their public schools, particularly states along the East Coast that are in the South. And so that's some of the work that I've been doing around that and around the dismantling of special education at the federal level, which is affecting a lot of public school programs in other states where families are trying to advocate for services or the lack thereof because state funding doesn't always provide as much as we get here in New York City. And so that's my report. Any questions you are welcome to ask me or email me.
Thank you. Any other member reports? Okay, then let's move back to approval of minutes. Thank you, Susie. All right, the meeting minutes were presented by Rose. Was there any issues that you saw with the meeting minutes? Any adjustments, amendments? Susie, is there something? All right, if there are no adjustments to meeting minutes, then they are accepted and approved as presented. Thank you. All right, we will skip back to, actually, we're gonna go to number 11 right now, which is new business, the vote to reimburse the AA. Rose, can you grab a mic? Yeah. So as you know, we did not have an approved budget for months and months and months. As such, Rose had to front money on her own. And Rose, please don't do that again. Let us know. Well, I hate you spending your own personal money. But Rose spent her own personal money to cover things such as the website to actually make sure we'd have our website, which we're required to have up because the DOE wasn't paying for it, and some other expenses. And so we need to, well, the call, if we have a motion, would be to reimburse Rose for the expenses she incurred covering while the DOE failed to have a budget out there. Yeah.
Down there.
Yeah. It's
I just passed.
Irene, is there any more there? Well, it's just all three of us. All right, so all right, so it's basically $500. Okay. So it's $493 and change. So is there a motion to reimburse Rose for the cost she incurred to support our council?
I make a motion.
Okay, we got two motions, which I'll call as a motion and a second. All right, Rose, do we need to go through a roll call vote to reimburse you the $493 and change? Yeah, do we need to do a roll call vote or just an up down? Okay, all in favor of reimbursing Rose for the amount listed, $493 and change?
Aye.
All opposed? All abstain? All right, Rose, unanimous. There you go. Don't mess with Rose. No, but thank you, Rose. In all sincerity, Rose, thank you for fronting us and helping us on this and everything else you do. But appreciate you doing this. I apologize that you had to do this. But we don't want that to happen again, so we'll work with DOE.
There's a possibility that there will be one more for the GoDaddy because it takes 2 months for them to process the P card.
Yeah.
So that won't happen. We won't receive that until January.
Okay.
Not January, early February. So it'd be one more.
What amount? How much? Okay.
Sorry, Rose, but thank you. All right, so we are good there. We'll go back quickly to the upcoming meeting topics. We sent out the upcoming meetings for January, February, and March, and all the other topics that the council had prior given that the DOE is working on trying to schedule as they can find people and work. But January, February, and March are lined up for speakers. Again, we'll need your feedback on questions, comments that you have for each of those meetings. If you could please send it to us. And we'll get it to Office of Special Education for them to farm out to whoever. But the next meeting coming up is going to be bringing back the Intergovernmental Affairs team. We have a new incoming administration starting in 2 weeks, less than. And so at that point, we'll have enough information on where that team is going, if it's a new chancellor, if it's a current chancellor continuing, what the initiative is, what the focus is. And it'll be a good time to talk to them because there's 2 other things going on. We got the state budget. The governor will be giving her executive budget right around that day. And the new mayor is required to give his preliminary budget right around that day. And so we're going to have, the 3 things happening all at once. It'll be a really good time to have intergovernmental affairs to talk about city issues, state issues, and the direction of the new administration. So it's timing I think is phenomenal. So I just want to give you a heads up that'll be upcoming. So if you've got questions for intergovernmental affairs, please get them to us, and then we'll pass them on to that team so they've got a little prep on what they need to prep for. All right. I don't see anything else on the agenda. Is there anything else, or is there anything else for tonight, or do we have a motion to adjourn?
The member reimbursements and the budget. So Rose, we're good on the member reimbursements, right? Yeah.
Yes, everything was submitted. The SGO, he already approved everything, so people should be receiving their checks maybe next week or the week after, taking consideration the holiday next week.
And the budget. Well,
Budget.
You tell me what you want to be done.
Budget's approved right now that we have a budget in the system. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll have to move money next month.
So that means that we will have, food next month.
Food next month, yes.
And, yeah.
We can move money January, February, March. There is a cutoff in March where we cannot move money after a certain date in March.
So
So
you need to let me know what you have planned so we can, if we have to move money, we'll move money.
yeah, but there's a deadline date in March where after that you can't move money. So we gotta figure out what we need to spend and where. So, Tamika, do you have an update?
Say no.
No updates from Face. All right.
So the budget, so just so you guys are aware, we had glitches with the budget internally because of some internal issues with the system itself. And Rose was working very hard to solve that. We had to escalate and just see how that was going to be resolved. It was resolved. But we've had issues with that in the past with the SGO. We didn't have one, now we have one, and hopefully the process will be much smoother now. We do have, if I remember correctly, Rose, We do have extra because of the vacancies that we've had, right? Or no?
Yes, we will have some money to move around.
And so we do have the legislative breakfast to consider. We do also, I know I have to send the schedule out and see what works for folks. The retreat, hopefully, we can do a retreat. And yeah. So thank you so much, everyone, for staying so late.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
All right, we have 3 motions to adjourn, and that's 2 seconds as well, so we're good. All right, thank you, everybody. Everyone who's still online, thank you. Lupe, thank you, Margaret. Have a wonderful holiday.